This is episode 282 of Mitolife Radio. I'm Matt Blackburn, and today I'm interviewing Israel, also known as Raven Ruiz. He created a really interesting company called Materia Artium, and he creates Spagyrics. So these are plant, animal, and mineral/metallic extracts. And especially with the animal part, it often sounds like witchcraft to people, which I ask him directly how he responds to that. I ask him what the difference is between Spagyrics and homeopathy. And while he does touch on the metallic mineral kingdoms and the plant kingdom, Spagyrics, we mainly focus on the what he calls animal guides aspect, which to me is the most fascinating. He shares stories of dying animals presenting themselves to him. He talks about his red fox spagyric, the cicada, the mountain lion, the wasp, which is one that I just took the other night, the tarantula, and then he talks about spagyrics that he would like to make, like praying mantis, great white shark, jellyfish. He's currently working on an octopus one. And I ask him how to take the spagyrics. Should you pick one based on the lesson that you need to learn, or if you should just use your intuition? Then I ask him about dosage and how much he takes. Then I ask him a few listener questions. If you like the weirder shows that I post, this is definitely one of them. Israel's very open about his plant medicine use and how that influenced his direction today. If you're into subtle energy, homeopathics, flower essences, then I think you will enjoy this show because this is a whole other level. So enjoy. Here is Israel Raven Ruiz. All right. We're here with Israel, also known as Raven. Welcome to the show.
What's up, Matt? Thank you for having me, man. Stoked.
Yeah. We reconnected like a week ago, and I tried your Spagyrics, I don't know, 3-4 years ago now. It's been a while off and on, and I love them. I purchased different animal ones from you, kind of a medley of mineral, plant, and animal, which we'll get into later, like the difference between those kingdoms. But kind of kicking it off, how did you get interested in this whole subject, and why did you make this your life's work?
Yeah, I didn't really choose it. It kind of came to me. It did come to me through a lot of self-initiatory psychedelic work in Brooklyn, New York. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where I was going, but, it started with like a tab of acid or, a little handful of mushrooms, and it seemed really cool. And it was cooler than anything I had going on in life. And I thought, well, I'm going to keep going deeper. And I did. And I got to the point where I took such a massive dose of LSD that in 2016, I'm still integrating what happened. But the core stuff, the foundational stuff showed up that night. And Hermes Trismegistus, who happens to be like the god of alchemy, magic, communication, writing, reality, if you will, presented this memory of alchemy. And so it gets into a weird conversation of like timelines, infinite realities, blah, blah, blah. But so amidst all that going on, I started to feel like I was losing my mind. And then this guy that I used to work for, his oil of gold showed up, and I never heard of him, never heard of his anything, never heard of alchemy, oil of gold, nothing. All I knew was like Terrence McKenna, Alan Watts, some Carl Jung here and there, that's about it. And so I started taking the oil of gold without researching. Like the moment it showed up, my girlfriend at the time, she didn't order it. I didn't order it. So I was like, I trust whatever's going on. I'm down. This is weird, but sure, why not? could have been poison. And I'm like, it's whatever. And I started to finally ground whatever was going on. You know, when you take psychedelics, you're up here and everything else is like down here. Over time, he hit me up and was like, hey, I'm going to be in New York doing a lecture talking about alchemy. I'll comp you and your girlfriend. So I went, talked to him, shared my experience. That didn't matter. What mattered was he wanted someone to work in the lab. So not even like an apprentice, just somebody to clean, bottle label and stuff. And I did. And I moved to New Mexico, moved to Taos. And from there, I started getting tidbits as I was working. Like I kind of felt like Mickey Mouse, like just kind of cleaning up and not spying, but like looking over his shoulder, like, what's that? What's that? And then eventually he got me to learn how to make product. So, you know, maximize business. And through learning that product building on my own, I just started learning about what this is and the three realms: animal, plant, animal, and mineral metallic. I didn't start to work on the animal stuff until I was kind of on my own. And then the mineral metallic stuff, yeah.
Can I ask you, was this guy, did his name start with an A? Because I think I know who you're talking. I just don't know if we want to.
Yes, sir.
Because I think there was something that, I don't know if it was a rumor, but he was working with the oil of Mercury, I believe, or the element of Mercury, and had a mental break or something happen there. Because it could be dangerous working with these substances, right? Certain ones.
Oh, it is really dangerous, especially because Mercury, for example, the safest form of Mercury is as a metal. That's the safest one. As soon as you start to turn Mercury into something else, like mercury oxide, mercury trioxide, mercury sulfide. I mean, like I was working, like I made oil of mercury. I tested it out. It's clean, but I don't offer it to the public. It's very private kind of thing. But I mean, like the acetate crystals, you don't even see them. They're like these little, like a piece of a little feather, like just the strand. And if it gets in your lungs, man, like it just gets deeper and deeper. And it, you know, yeah, it's yeah. But that's not what happened. And off this thing, we can talk about it if you're down. And that'll be like a you and I conversation, but that's not what happened.
Oh,
yeah. He's alive and well, and he's not doing alchemy. But yeah. No, he didn't. I'm curious about even on Reddit, I started hearing like mythos about it at this point. Like, oh yeah, he made the stone and took it. It's like, no,
it's possible that could happen though, right? It's possible, or to someone.
Yeah, if I make the stone and I give it to you and you drink it, there's a very high probability that you can't handle it, and either you'll end up in a psych ward for the rest of your life, or it'll kill you because your body. So you're supposed to make it yourself, and then you consume it, and then your body's ready, that kind of thing. But if somebody else makes it and gives it to you, this is always funny. Like all these kings and shit throughout history, they would, kidnap some of us and torture us. It's like, here, drink some mercury, dude. You'll be fine. Like this is it right here. But yeah, it wasn't mercury, something else. But yeah, so I learned a lot from this guy, and eventually, some stuff went down. I decided to just go on my own and ask in the universe. I was doing nothing spiritual or anything, just asking, hey, I know there's something there. Like I don't know what it is or what you are, but I just guide me, man, because I've never felt so. I thought I was lost before the psychedelics, and that's why I did them. Now it's like I became aware of too much, and now I'm really dumbfounded. And now I'm at a stalemate with myself and reality, my friends, everything. So yeah, the universe speaks to everyone differently. And for me, it was these subtle little things. And yeah, these animals started showing up. And he did show me the process of processing an animal. Within the first month of moving to Taos, I had a massive male raven in my backyard on his back, just like flapping. And I was like, wait, hold on. I've always wanted to meet you, but this is crazy. So I grabbed him. He was still alive, drove to the job. And as soon as I got there, he just started shaking really hard and stared at him and he died. I was like, well, I don't know what I thought I was going to do, but okay, cool. Ran inside. Hey, can you teach me? And then he said, you're not going to record this. You can't write this. And I'm only going to tell you once. I'm not going to guide you or walk you through it. I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to do. You're going to do what you do to the plants, to that bird. I was like, what do you mean? Just, it's like, yeah, and figure it out. Just remember, I will give you this. Every part of the bird, you have to do those things too. So it's more complex than a plant, or it's more intricate than a plant, where you're just shoving the whole plant and processing it and all that stuff. But yeah, so that was my explanation. And from there, over the years, I've been able to be guided by something. I don't know what it is, but something showing me little things. Or people would show up and like, hey, watching you do this in the lab, that sparked some curiosity. And I went into some notes because there's no work on the animals. There's no books. There's stuff that you can do with like blood and blah, 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 but there's no animal spagyric work the way that there is for like plants.
Oh.
So yeah, they all three realms kind of provide something that I can utilize in another realm in order to maximize the extraction processes, purification processes, and so on. Yeah.
On Instagram, when I had people send in questions, I introduced this show from my perspective that it's like a type of homeopathy because, and let me know if I'm way off with that, but my understanding of Spagyrics, just elementary, is that you're extracting things down so much to where, like, for example, Mercury, there actually isn't the actual substance there, but it's like a breakdown products or something. Is it accurate to say, like, when you're taking Spagyrics, you're getting the frequency of the animal, the plant, or the metallic, or?
Yeah. So if you think about this, right? So homeopathy is more like a diluted version of something, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like flower essences or like that, Okay. The really cool thing about Spagyrics in general is they do contain an aspect of the homeopathy. So sometimes homeopathy is really awesome when you're working with poisonous things, because sometimes the remedy is in the poison itself, So something like mercury, taking the oil of mercury would start to leach out mercury from the body. But if you do your homework, there's other chemicals or other metals that are the polarity of mercury. Like selenium is the polarity of mercury, right? So people talk about you shouldn't eat big ocean fish because they have chock full of mercury. They're chock full of mercury. But when you take, the remains of the like swordfish, I love swordfish, I love tuna, they also have almost exactly the equal amount of selenium in them. So selenium cleans out the body from mercury. So it's like, yeah, you're good, bro. Like, you're good. There are smaller fish that have higher concentrations of mercury that don't really have selenium, so you need to, But yeah, the remedy is inside the poison. I know I went into the rant about selenium, but
no, it's great. Yeah, I believe like I didn't have mercury fillings, thank God. But if I did, then maybe you have to do some type of a cleanse, and then eating fish like that, maybe you're at baseline, and then it's fine or something like that. But
yeah, and I'm hungry. But so the homeopathy part is there because you're not extracting an essential oil from the metal. You're catalyzing a reaction through there's a variety of solvents that you can use to catalyze this reaction. Every solvent that you use will get you a slightly different variant of that essential oil. And they're an essential oil because when you send them to a lab to get tested, they have volatile compounds. So like oil of gold, for example, it's the sun, right? It's solar, the crown chakra. So think of plants that are you can call very solar. They love the sun. Like marijuana, very solar, right? It's a gold plant. It loves the sun. The more sun it gets, the better it does. When you check out the essential oil for marijuana, it's chock full of terpenes, all types, right? Sesquiterpenes, monoterpenes, pinene, limonene. When you go and send the oil of gold to a lab, that's the results that you get. But in higher concentrations, at a higher frequency, and it's like, okay, cool, there's a correspondence, you know? So the metal is not in there, but it's still really difficult to explain. But the way I see it is, if I imagine, they say gold is Apollo, there's an archetype, and I just gave Apollo, a cocktail with a crap ton of LSD in there, and he drinks the whole thing, and he just like kind of freaks out. He starts tripping, freaks out, and gets like an mirror image of himself. That's the essential oil. It's like this carbon copy of the thing without needing the thing. So you get your gold back, you get your mercury back, but there's this image that's just a copy of the thing itself. Yeah. So the homeopathy thing, you are working with compounds that are found in essential oils from plants. And the reason that you find these compounds in plants is because plants are interacting with soil, and they're interacting with these metals. So the plants, in a weird way, they are kind of doing alchemical processes sorry, my cat. He's got that look like he's gonna jump. What makes medicine? The essential oil. That's what makes the medicine. But even with big pharma, at some point they do have to go into nature, isolate something, and then they will do organic chemistry, and then they will replicate the thing without needing the plant ever again. So all these compounds come from the sulfur or the essential oil or the soul of a plant or anything in nature. But they don't know about the metals. So we'll stick to the plants, right? So essentially you are taking what you would call medicine or a supplement or whatever you want to call them. Yeah. So it's homeopathy because you are interacting with these subtle energies, right? I don't know much about homeopathy though. I just do what I do, but I've had a lot of people show up because I do work with like very poisonous plants and stuff. And I'm like, that's how I've learned tidbits of homeopathy. But the reason that these spagyrics are 300 to 400 times more powerful than like a tincture of the plant is because you're doing what you're doing to them. You're not just extracting the oil, but you're also fermenting the plant, and you're also burning it to a white ash, leaching that into distilled water. Every plant has a unique crystalline structure. Like I've forgotten to label something, and then I'll take the salts or the crystals, put it under a microscope, and I have Polaroids of these things in my notebooks. I'm like, oh, that's rosemary. Oh my God, yes, thank God, yeah, hey. So you're burning away the illusions of the true structure of the plant, breaking it down, not to the molecule, but you're breaking it down to something more pure, and it has an intelligence, if you will, because crystalline structures are like the intelligence of that compound itself, if you will. And you're putting all these three parts together. So you're amplifying the delivery system of taking rosemary as a tea or rosemary as a tincture. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed on a lot of your bottles you have, like last night I took Wasp and it said animal guide. And there's this concept, I think indigenous people, believe everything is alive. I think the main three religions probably don't. I don't know, like,
right.
Say consciousness and rocks and plants, right, and, secret life of plant stuff. To me, it all just makes sense that everything is conscious. So would you say, what do you call all the Spagyrics guides, even like gold and silver, or is the animal guide different from, I guess that's what makes them different, right? They're different types of guides.
They're guiding something, right? So if you I can't think right now off the top of my head of why you would take rosemary, but like, let's use lavender, for example. Because I played with this game before. You have a headache, you just pop an aspirin or ibuprofen, right? But I sometimes, not because I have anything against that, the headache is not bad enough, but I know it's going to get bad enough. So I feel like I have enough of a window to go, you know what? Let me just go huff on some lavender oil. No spiritual, let me just go huff on it, because these things come from, these pharmaceuticals come from that realm. So I take a towel, a napkin, and I put a bunch of rose lavender, and I just inhale it. I'm like, this is really nice. It's cooling, blah, blah, blah. And it literally takes me the almost exact amount of time that it would take for my headache to go away if I took an aspirin. with the lavender. But I hear my mind playing tricks like, this shit is not fucking working, dude. Like, take the aspirin, man. It's been 10 minutes. Just save yourself another 10. But it goes away, right? So it is guiding, I would say, on what you're asking, that it is guiding what's a headache. There's a few reasons, right? One of them is the capillaries of the blood vessels in the brain are inflamed. Maybe you drank too much, you're dehydrated, you need more water, blah, blah, blah. But you need something fast acting to get the point. So the lavender is guiding those blood vessels to equilibrium. A metallic oil would be, because it's expensive to get these things tested. So I haven't tested the compounds from the majority of them. Like I know that the metals aren't there. That's when I get tested. But to test for esters, aldehydes, terpenes, it's really expensive. And I'm doing my best to not raise the price on what I offer the world. But yeah, that's a goal. So if you know somebody that would do it for cheaper, like I would love to, but you are interacting with these compounds. So there are physiologically, they are guiding the body to equilibrium, but because they also represent an energy center, an archetype, they're guiding that too. When it comes to the animals, the reason that I call them animal guides and not plant guides, I don't call it plants or the metallic, is because humans, although we are not animals because of our minds, we are housed in an animal body. You can't deny that, right? Like we all know, monkeys. Okay, fine. So we are in an animal body, but we're not animals because, well, we're God's favorite creation. Like why? What's the difference? Like, look at what we do. Maybe an orangutan is trying to nail a hammer, or hammer a nail, but it's not making freaking music. It's not Mozart or Beethoven. So, but we are housed in an animal body, and I believe that when I look into the world, even my own past experiences, there are biological traits in our being or animal being that pull us. If you're not strong-willed and have some sort of discipline with yourself, these animal instincts will act and react. And we're still almost manipulated by them. When people talk about like Christ consciousness, like, what happens when you achieve that state? When you look into the world, you see nothing wrong. And so many people will just like a typhoon, just be like, no, what about the children and all this? I'm like, I bet you if I gave those prisoners that are in there for some crazy crimes a bunch of mushrooms and guided them and walked them through and stuff, they would start to override the biological instincts and start to see it's like, you didn't need to. You're a good-looking dude. You had no reason to go to that nightclub that night and do that thing to that person and blah, blah, blah. Like, but you didn't know you're acting out of these like things. Plus, there's the human aspect of like trauma, blah, blah, blah. But yeah. So the animal guides, because they're so close to us, and the reason that these indigenous people throughout, as far as we can, track, have turned to them for wisdom is because, there's this idea that everything is consciousness, but everything is an aspect or fragment of consciousness, like fractal theory, right? So if you so if you're looking at something, even like this glass or the wine inside, it is consciousness. But when we think of consciousness, like, well, if I flick it, is it gonna is it gonna like curse me out or cry? It's like, that doesn't, just because it's not you or behaves like you doesn't mean, because we do this to other humans. Yeah. We sometimes treat other humans as if they weren't conscious. We betray them, we lie, we cheat, we steal and all this stuff, which is, it's all good. We're figuring it out, right? But every single animal comes with a story. Just look around and like find a culture, man. It's the age of information. If you want to know what the wisdom of a cockroach is, you will find it. Because there's at least one tribe somewhere in some society that some guy, some lady was like, whoa, you know all that? Like, but they only, they're wise in a specific, the fractal, right? That one little piece, they're masters at it.
Experts, yeah.
Yeah, they figured it out, right? So with the animal work, the reason that they're guides is because that's the experience that I was having with them. And I created this story where when I first made the red fox, and I've only made it once. But if another red fox came, I wouldn't do this again because I already did it. But, and depending on the size of the animal too, you know, if I have about a liter, I take half a liter of that, the final craft, and I distill off all the ethanol so I don't get alcohol poisoning, or as much as possible, because then it becomes like a tar. I drink it completely, and we can get into that if you're interested later on, but I drink this thing as an initiation with that part of myself. And I believe that for myself, I know that every animal that showed up was to show me and take me through a journey of an aspect of myself that I can totally work on, exalt, master, fix, if you will, pay attention to at the very least, be aware of it, because some things you can't do anything about them, but something about just being aware of it can change everything, you know? Like cicada, for example. I just took some cicada because I do still feel a little nervous talking to myself and pretending that it's not I, right? But that you're Matt and that I'm Raven. Like, let me just take some cicada so I can, like, because cicadas are big communicators, right? They make sounds and they throw their voices. So I was like, yeah, let me take some cicada. And, you know,
yeah, it's funny. This is my favorite part of all of it, and I think it's probably the most like witchcraft part of it when people look at it from an outside perspective. It's like, metals, cool, plants, cool. Oh, you're cooking up animals? That sounds weird. Like I saw that in
like
some movies. You know?
Yeah, which, you know, for any, you know, whoever's listening, I am not a witch. I do not practice witchcraft.
Well, it's not done in a dark way. Like I saw a story on your social media last week or something where you found you often find roadkill. Like I think it was an owl.
Yeah.
And so it's not like you're sacrificing these animals in a dark altar in a dungeon. It's a lot of the time they come to you or you find them dead right on the side of the road.
Yeah, either they come to me and they're dying, which is, you know, or it's roadkill. And just so everyone knows, they're not rotted. Once things are past, like, I can't do anything about it, you know? So that roadrunner that I found and the barn owl that I found, I mean, they were still wiggling. So not wiggling, they're not on their own. I mean, you know, I grabbed them and the wings closed up and stuff. I was like, cool, you're good. There's no stench. It just literally smells like fresh meat and blood. Yeah. So I don't work with things. I can't work with things when they're decomposing. If it's a bird, I'll cut its wings and tail feathers and, you know, do some taxidermy thing and keep them, but just to honor the thing. But yeah,
it's done in a very honorable way from what I've noticed. Watching what you do, it's like it's really cool to watch. Like it's better than leaving the animal because now it's going to kind of act through humans, right?
Right. So and I know, you know, there's some scavengers out there that could eat it, but a lot of the times I find them right in the middle of the road, you know. So I'm like, well, I'm probably saving a bunch of ravens and crows, you know, an accident from coming out here. So yeah, let me process this animal. But it's one of like the top 5 most ironic, weird trickster things that the universe did to me, because I really love animals a lot. I mean, I was vegan for years because of belief systems and stuff. And then I ate more mushrooms and I thought, oh, well, hold on, come on. Like, if it's all one thing, right? And it knows what it's doing, right? That's because I got to the point where I was like, I'm not even eating plants. They're conscious. I was like, well, I can't even step on grass. And it's like, eat more mushrooms, watch this. And it's like, dude, the dirt outside is conscious. Like, what do I do? Like, I can't even fucking float. The air is conscious. Like, cool, bro. I went through like a weird 2-month breatharian thing. And then my system started to like slowly shut down. Like, really bad. Yeah. Like,
I didn't get to that level. I think you went slightly farther than I did, but I went pretty far. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's beautiful though to have gone through that, right? And the reason that you went through it, it's like a little gemstone. Like, it's so precious. And I'll never judge that part of you or myself because I went through it. And so when I look at vegans, I have no judgment, but I do talk shit, you know, when they try to say something about other people. It's like, like, you sound like someone and looks like someone based on your profile that needs more iron. You should probably eat some beef, dude.
It's a very like domesticated mindset too. I mean, when you live in the mountains or somewhere rural, like I just
Yeah.
see animals eating other animals the last few years, hawks and eagles, bald eagles swooping down and squaring off with my rooster and taking a few hens. And it's just part of the life,
Yeah. And to each his own, right?
Yeah.
But I heard someone say yesterday, actually, something on YouTube. Some young lady asked him, like, I'm vegan. When do you believe that the world will go into veganism? He's like, it's never going to happen. If you understand that it's all one thing and that you are that one thing, there's nothing wrong with your choice making. Maybe in this lifetime you'll understand it. Maybe next one, maybe 300 from now. And I just saw her face just like melting more and more. He's like, but there's yogis out there. There's enlightened beings out there in human form that they eat meat. But the way that they eat it, it's not that they have like a seance and pray to it. It's just being aware, and it's like, hey man, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Because
yeah.
If you replace the idea of cows in an enclosure, with like humans, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not like you shouldn't eat cows. It's thank you. Consciousness chose this, I mean, in the Bible and so many other types of Bibles or whatever, it talks about that. It's like, yeah, like the plants knew that they were going to come here. Whatever soul is behind the plant knew that it was going to come here as a plant. It chose it. And it was going to get trampled on. It was going to be called a weed and fucking get poisoned. So it's not even like just ripped out and die immediately. It's like, we're going to slowly murder you, like the Holocaust of nature. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, to each his own on their journey, but it's beautiful. And the same idea goes into when an animal shows up. I didn't kill it. I didn't run over it. But it's not that I feel like I killed it. There's something very intense that happens, and I still haven't truly figured out what that feeling is. But picking up that barn owl, for example, it's like a stab right into my gut. Like, oh man. But now I'm getting more mature and at work and stuff. Thank you. Like, just thank you. I ate a strip of meat and I'm like, thanks, man. I'm not even sure if you're just one animal or a concoction of them in this hot dog, but I don't eat hot dogs, but yeah.
Well, years ago, and I think I still have this mentality as far as like personal growth, like you kind of touched on it a little earlier. Each animal shows up, you said, to take you through a journey with an aspect of yourself. Like I was big into lucid dreaming, where when I was like 12, I jotted down like over 100 dreams. And I noticed that I was progressing in my confidence in waking life when I faced like a scary lion in my dream and then connected with it and stuff. And a lot of it was animal based. I think we share that deep love for animals. Like if I didn't do this, I would be a zookeeper, honestly.
Dude, that was like my dream job. Yeah. Yeah.
I have an octopus downstairs and I've had piranha, and I just love weird animals for some reason. But what I was getting at is I think this is one of the coolest things since lucid dreaming that I've found for personal growth, using these animals as a guide. Like I have your coyote page up here. I know that's potentially your favorite with your name. And you have great write-ups on all the animals, not only their history, like physical earth stuff, but also what they could teach us. And I think that's so awesome. Like I could imagine taking your Spagyrics and doing some dream work. That would be an awesome mix.
Yeah.
So maybe you could like directly interact with the animals, and you probably do and just don't remember right after taking the Spagyrics.
Right. It's so I do my best. I have a lot of people that show up, a lot of like clients, and like, hey, I want to work with this animal. Can you tell me what to expect? It's like, I shan't. I will not tell you, because if it shows up in your apartment, if it shows up in your house, sure, it's because you ordered it, but that's not why it's actually there. Like, I believe that with all the free will we have, a lot of it is we're influenced by our operator, our, we're avatars, our soul, or God, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like, we're influenced by it. And sometimes a lot of times, almost all the time, you make choices. And you're like, wait, what? If it shows up, it's because there's an aspect of yourself that is also externalized through a specific type of animal that wants attention or just awareness. I'm not a fan at all of using the word healing, but it's just shifting the story around. And the reason that I offer, the scientific part is because I find that it's important. Because even through the scientific research that's done on this specific animal, you can start to create a story of understanding. Because I've had people contact me reading an animal page, and they say things like, yo, this made me think of this. Yeah, I love it. It's adorable. I'm not like, shit talking any of it. It hits my heart so hard. Some people, when they contact me about what they experienced just reading about the animal and inquiring about it, I feel the child, like, I don't know if you were into dinosaurs when you were a kid, but like, I feel that excited child about like, oh my God, this is like a T-Rex, right? But like, it's a reptile, and then blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh man, it takes me like a day or two to respond, because I really want to get out of my norm and get that aspect, because every person that contacts me, to me, is equivalent to when I work with an animal. I'm not calling them animals. I'm just saying, like, it's my reality is constantly reflecting something, like we recently spoke very, briefly, and I took everything that you said as an aspect of myself wanting to communicate something to me, and with everyone. So I do my best to not be reactionary at first or whatever, but yeah, it's interesting how the animal is outside of you, or as a spagyric, in a way of allowing the mind, where it's at in its own, current state of development, to articulate something. Because in the grand scheme of things, you don't require any of it. But right. Until you and your subconscious, like your conscious and subconscious mind, can fully integrate that and understand it. And for your body, your body is a composition of where your mind is operating from, right? So where you're at is based on your state of belief, understanding, wisdom, knowledge, so on, right? Can you grow a severed limb back? Yes. Can 99.99999% of the populace do that? No. Because there's a consensus of, no, it must get amputated. We must put a peg leg in there, or a piece of wood, or a bionic arm, whatever it is.
You need the salamander or spagyric. No.
If it shows up, man. If it shows up, seriously. I actually, it's one of your buddies. He contacted me about, he lives in California by the beach. He's like, hey, man, would you ever do great white shark? I'm like, dude, that's on my list.
That's cool.
Not that I'm going to go and hunt it. I'm just saying, yes. He's like, because I see them, like, not all the time, but all the time. Just washed up on shore. No one's going to fuck with it. I'm like, bro, yes.
Just ship it to you, right? Yeah, overnight.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more butts by putts. Is my dude.
Oh, yeah. I'd love an octopus spagyric, because I wouldn't eat octopus.
No, working on one.
Oh, wonderful. I'll be first in line. Yeah.
It's strange, though.
I saw the video. I remember that. Yeah, you had it in a jar. Yeah.
Because, well, the only really, like, if it exists, it's solid, right? But all there, like, I jiggle the container around because it's in the menstruum that it's extracted from, and it's just all now one liquid. So it's not like the barn owl. There's bones. There's still meat breaking apart and stuff. There's just a little beak. Yeah, and the beak
all that's left.
Yeah, like, it's in there. So this is all new for me. Because I even had a buddy say, hey, man, what about jellyfish? I'm like, I'm totally down, man, but I need to have something to calcine, or so I'll figure it out. But it's a pink mass. It's not even yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I look forward to your write-up on that, because I have biology books on cephalopods, and the next one, because their lifespan's only 2 to 3 years, I have a California 2 spot, so it's called like a BIMAC. And I have a chiller running, so I keep it 70, 71 degrees Fahrenheit. They like it slightly colder. And yeah, they're just fascinating. But after he passes, I'm going to try cuttlefish. Because I tried hatching them from eggs like 15 years ago, and they're so hard to raise because the baby cuttlefish need so much live food or else they cannibalize. So it's
Yeah.
just like very expensive, like very.
No, I feel you. Hey, man, when it passes, if you want to just put it on ice, unless you're just gonna eat it,
I'll send them to
get
you.
some dry ice and send it. I got yeah. No, I've been slowly telling even locals too from some of the Pueblo tribes, like, hey, man, this is what I do. They're not really comfortable with me though. They're like, you're a skinwalker. I'm like, I'm not. I'm really not, bro. Like, I'm honoring these things. They're like, no, man, no one would do that. I'm like, fine, but yeah. No. It's right now outside. It's an enclosed, like small netted setup. Man, I went to Home Depot because I buy like ladybugs to control crap in my other insects in my garden, and I got some praying mantis. Both because
I'm obsessed with prey. I hatched like 30 eggs in my greenhouse. They're all I have hundreds in there right now.
Yeah. And so they hatched. I've attempted to do this several times. Nothing. Sometimes you get like a decoy. Yeah. But it happened. And it was weird too because I had a praying mantis dream. I was hanging out with these like mantinoid, humanoid things or whatever. And I woke up, I was writing all about it. And I had this little container where it came by my plants and by the kitchen sink. And yeah, I looked over, I was like, oh, what? I'm like, so my partner, Christine, look. And I just opened it real quick. I'm like, look at how tiny, because they're so cute. They're just, they're like kittens, right? Like big ass ears, but then like a bigger head and stuff. And I put them in the enclosure. I've been buying flightless fruit flies from the pet shop. So I've created somewhat of a little ecosystem. And now that they've gotten a little bigger, I've released half of them. I said, hey, it's not that you guys don't deserve to live, but you're all the same consciousness anyway. And we can get into that too if you want. And I let them all go. But yeah, dude, I think they're in their third instar right now. But it's like the stages of size or development. So yeah, no, mantis spagyric.
Yeah, supposedly, because I was deep into ET research for years, reading tons of books on them, and supposedly of each animal on Earth, there's an extraterrestrial humanoid version. From my studies, and like you said, the mantid beings, supposedly in the conspiracy world or whatever, they're like the higher ups that like guide the grays and stuff. And I don't know, who knows, right? But
yeah, I don't know about the structure, like the hierarchical structures or anything, but I have experienced this idea that Earth itself, whatever it's called outside of Earth, but it's a genetic library for experimentation. So everything that you see moving around on Earth was placed here. And when it was originally placed here, it did not look the way that it looks like now. It's like a kind of like a dog park or like kindergarten. You just shove them all in there and see what happens kind of thing, And, we mutate, we change, we evolve and stuff. But yeah, they're there. The idea that the Sirius star system is supposed to be like canine and that all dogs come from them, that kind of thing. But yeah.
I want to go to the cat one. That's the one I would get.
Yeah, I know.
Lyra, I think. I don't know. That's
it is. Yeah. I love cats. Yeah. That's why they're all difficult, but the mountain lion jerk was painful. Painful. Really? Yeah, for me, because I didn't have buddies so I have buddies in New Mexico that they're hunters, and these guys were up in Taos, up in the mountains. And they were there, I forgot what it was for, but in their campsite where they're all set up, this mountain lion came in. They were up in the trees, just camping up there. And a mountain lion came and she got into their shit and started rummaging. They left her alone. And she started climbing one of the trees where one of my friends was like canopied up there. So they had to do it. Yeah. And immediately that they did it, they were like, for some weird reason, you get crappy like cell service in New Mexico, but if you're up in the mountains, you get the best service, like super clear. And like, Raven, listen, like FaceTiming me, look. I'm like, what the fuck did you do? Why are you hunting? Are you even allowed to hunt them? It's like, dude, we had to do it. Blah, blah, blah. I was already in Taos. I was like, yeah, I'll be up there. So I drove up there with a bunch of stuff in my truck. And fortunately, I learned a lot from them too, because they're used to skinning elk and stuff. And I'm like, please help me, man. This is a very, very large animal. And she was pretty young at the same time too. I'm like, this thing is at least fucking 700 pounds. Like, I don't even know, 600 pounds, you know. But so I show up and, you know, there's a bullet wound and some blood, but it's a cat. To me, it's like, you're just a baby. Like, you're just yeah.
I would have trouble with that. Yeah, it'd be rough. Out at the bottom of the mountain lion page, you say it's mountain lion is all about personal power, the awareness of this, and the mindful application of your power in your life. And kind of going back to my question, like, I tend to just be intuitive with it. So the collection that I have from you, like last night, I was just drawn to the Wasp, and I don't know why I didn't read the page. Is that a good way to do it? Or, yeah, because I think you were saying you prefer the Spagyric to kind of guide you, right? Versus knowing what it's doing. And
yeah, because I've had a few friends and clients that I'm not instructing anyone to do anything in a certain way, but people still want a suggestion. Like, if you feel called to it and you see it, get it, work with it, and then ask yourself, hey, or tell yourself, hey, whenever I'm ready, I would like to just go and start to do some research on it. You know, and I tell people too, it's like, you know, you can, like, I got a young man in Oregon, I think. He just got rabbit, and he's like, yeah, he really loves rabbits, and there's like a rabbit farm where he lives, and they're for like emotional support or some, you know, that sounds amazing. And he's been watching like documentaries and stuff, you know, just learning the scientific part of it. And it's like, yeah, man, like just work with it and just pay attention, but set the intention. That's the thing too, right? Because like, placebo is such a taboo word in so many arenas, even in the spiritual community, right? Because it's like, but the thing that I advocate always is tell me the story that you feel. Like, screw everyone and everything else. Just tell me the story that you feel, what resonates with you, and then look at your reality. And if you need some validation, it might show up or it might be testing you, you know? But so, yeah, I always tell people, work with it and then get into the research. But some people, it is helpful for them. It does, because we get in our own ways of everything, right? So they go in, like, okay, cool. But I find that a lot of times when I work with the animal, I'm not doing the research. I do that. The writing of the page, I mean, there's animals that I have that are done and I've worked with them that are not on the website. And I haven't even offered to people because I'm still working out what, you know, WTF of what this experience was. But you might start to realize, I've had a few clients even acknowledge this too. I remember a string of dreams that I used to have when I was younger. And now I'm remembering that, you know, rabbit was in there, or that a bear was in there, or I totally forgot. And I'm having a dream where I'm remembering this dream of, you know, my house getting broken into by a bunch of bears and blah, blah, blah. Or my dad or my mom kind of reminded me of a certain animal, but I forgot about that, you know, and whatever. I had this pet snake. And it's interesting when you start to realize, like, maybe the synchronicities were always there, you know, or you start to see them, you know, like,
I think
I'm thinking about buying fox, and then, you know, a moving truck drives by and there's a big fox on it. Like, it's always there. It's going to get to you anyway, somehow, right?
I think Matt, that you mentioned earlier, you know, he made a joke. He's always a joker, but he was saying sometimes it's not spiritual if you see an animal. Sometimes you just happen to cross paths with an animal, and it could be that too, right?
Right. Not everybody's, you know, an astrological bitch, but we love you, Putz. Yeah, no, it's your own individual experience. That's what's important, honestly. You know, like if holding a freaking quartz crystal makes you feel really good, you know, and before you go into nerve-wracking situations that you have to like go to work and you hold this and it works for you. That's it. We don't need to dissect. Well, is it the thing? Is it the crystal? It's like it's the story at the end of the day. So you can rip away all the context of why does this medicine work? Why does this supplement work? Why does this way of dieting work? Why does this like, ketosis and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's cool. And I respect that. I find myself doing certain things with myself. And then someone goes, oh yeah, you're following this program. And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? Oh yeah. But hey, you should tweak this. And I'm like, why? I'm doing great. I feel myself. I love myself and I follow what, and again, the idea of it's the story that you give it. And if it works for you,
Yeah.
and maybe I find that sometimes maybe start doing something without thinking about it so much and it'll start to respond to you in certain ways, and
Yeah. I wanted to ask last thing on Wasp. Have you ever been stung by one?
when I was a kid.
Okay. I got my first one last summer. It was more painful than I expected.
Right. I still remember too. It was the weirdest thing because it's so vivid too. I had a Voltron toy. I'm that old. I had a Voltron toy and I gave it to this young lady. It's like 8 years old. And because I thought she would I liked her. And then she took it and she knew I liked her. So then she said, I'm keeping it. And I was like, I don't know though. Like, I like you, but I don't even really know you. I just kind of like you. And so I went and I grabbed her hand really hard and I snatched the Voltron. And I don't understand where this came from, but what I remember is that a wasp came out.
Wow.
And stung me like right in here. And I couldn't I thought as a child that she did that or the Voltron did that or that it came out of the Voltron because I had like this thing in his chest where you could put like the little human inside. Because it opened up when I pulled it and then I get stung. So I don't know what happened and I'll never forget that. So I like, why do I still remember that? Why is that so vivid? And all this stuff. And it's like, I don't know, maybe you were just maybe you were a little too strong on the feminine and the feminine was like, back off. I don't know, but I do remember that. And it's so visceral how it hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been 90 up here in North Idaho, and I'm surprised.
Whew.
I haven't walked around looking for nests, but every summer, with this heat prolonged, they start putting up houses, and I usually use those 30-foot sprays, But even with that, if you don't time it right, I mean, that's how I got stung. I was spraying it, and one just beelined it, and within seconds, stung my hand on the webbing part. They're really fast.
Okay, so look, there is. We're not going to pay to mention companies, but there is a few companies that make traps that use pheromones.
Oh,
cool. And that's how I was catching these wasps.
Wow.
And the pheromone is not a poison, but the setup of the trap, the way that it's made, they go into the little hole, but they can't figure their way out. So that's what I was doing. That's how I caught them. It's just with a pheromone trap. That's it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's
Screw
awesome.
the poison part. Yeah. Because I would say, you don't need the poison. It's probably why you got stung.
Yeah.
So we could have this conversation like, no, there's better traps. They're all about like scent, right? And pheromones and stuff like that. So yeah, they're getting attracted to it. They'll get in there. Yeah.
I think I was trying to protect people working on my property because they were getting stung and stuff and harassed. Well,
if you got a full blown nest, yeah. Yeah, I gotta come visit you, dude. It sounds like you got a lot of potential animals out there.
it's that's why I love it. Yeah, it's like an outdoor zoo. I think it was 2 years ago I saw a bear really close to my house on my walk, and it always happens that day I didn't have my bear spray or my gun, which is very rare when I'm out alone. But it was just a smaller black bear. I don't know if it was a cub. It was, I don't know, couple 100 feet away, but yeah, it's the bear consciousness is really interesting when it was just sitting there standing up, just looking at me. I think it was foraging berries or something, but They're just, to me, the most majestic creature out here.
Yeah. I'm working on a black bear right now too.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
A friend of mine, he was looking. I forgot what he was out there to hunt, and instead this black bear showed up. So it was with a compound bow. He just took it out. It took them. It was him and this old dude, like 80-year-old old dude. So it took them hours to get back to the truck with this thing on like a like a piece of, I don't know what it was. They dragged this thing like on a sled kind of setup. And he hits me up. I was like, hey man, I'm gonna keep the skull and the hide, but the pelt, but I don't need any. I'm gonna keep some of me because I've heard great things. I'm like, oh wait, what? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna send you, and I'm like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah, this is gonna be an expensive, and I have to do it in pieces because I can't send it all in one shot. But today, all 4 boxes of black bear and dry ice are coming out to you. I'm like, cool. Wow. I tried some of the rib meat. Amazing. I cooked it. Black bears tend to be riddled with stuff, but I'm weird about that stuff too. So I'm like, nah, I'm good. But I cooked it, and I was like, awkward. This is a bear. I love bears. I am honored. Wow. Amazing. Yeah. But
do you feel different from beef or venison or elk? Like, did you get a different?
Yeah. Oh yeah, but I wish I can turn off the bias part. Mm-hmm. I wish there was a button. I go, totally new. I know nothing. So I don't know. It does taste different. And I know people talk about like, is it gamey and stuff? It's like, well, yeah, but. And I
just meant like the feeling. Like, did you feel like you got more strength or more energy?
I always have this like, there's like a discomfort that I was experiencing at first, probably because of my bias. But the rest of it was, I just wanted more, but I didn't want bear. I just wanted meat. And I've experienced that kind of sensation with several other animals that have meat that I can try, like coyote. I was just like, don't eat coyotes, by the way. Terrible. It's just that you're just like eating sand inside of meat. I'm like, what is going on? But no, I usually eat the heart or a piece of the heart. And that's a very different experience from any other part, especially because I'm doing the work that I'm doing. Yeah. This bear heart, I did not eat because it wasn't like freshly killed in front of me. So there was no point. But yeah. Because there's DMT that seeps into the heart when something dies.
Well,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that was a good segue because I wanted to go down the rabbit hole of Amanita muscaria because that's one that I took from you, I don't know, a month ago. And my intention was not to trip. It was just, just enjoy it. And I'd been taking a troche from a supplement company. They made a sleep formula and they put in like 1 gram of agarin, I think is like the active component, combined with some other stuff, cannabinoids or something. And yeah, it was interesting kind of seeing the difference between the extract and between the Amanita muscaria that you make, the Spagyric. And I think I took like 3 drops just on the tongue or in a shot glass or something and went out into town to run errands. And I definitely felt kind of floaty, not like ungrounded, but just like more, I don't know the way to describe it, like more tuned in or something.
Yeah. Because usually people think like I'm tripping balls or something, right? Yeah. It's like, well, you have to eat a lot more, but yeah.
And I kind of wanted to preface this discussion or kick it off with, I've heard that the fungal kingdom is more animal than plant. Is that right? Is it kind of an in-between?
Yeah, they're in the middle. Yeah. That's why what they offer is very interesting compared to what plants offer. The type of stuff that mushrooms do, it's very rare that you can find that in the plant realm. Mm-hmm. It's rare that you can find that in pharmaceuticals. What mushrooms do.
There was Paul Stamets was on Joe Rogan and he said something about white button mushrooms, something that he can't disclose because he would like get killed or something. It was something crazy. I think so. And then I was watching a video and some guy was like, or reading the comment section on YouTube, some expert responding to that, people were saying that I guess it's potentially like a explosive fuel, or someone
Mhm.
else was saying it can clean up the environment, and like Paul didn't want to get taken out by the powers
Yeah.
that be or something.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very, we're talking about the mushroom, but I feel that goes into a different conversation of like industry complexes.
Which I
Yeah.
feel like we have all the solutions, right? They're just not being implemented because of greed and stuff.
Yeah. It's just, how do I explain this? There's a lot of people that own a lot of things or manage a lot of things, run a lot of things, and they have made their life's work, or it's been in their family for however long. And for this new idea or new thing, or sometimes new, right, to show up, it's like, no. But, I'm one of those guys that owns this complex, right? Hey, tell you what, we'll give you a few $1 million to just like shut up and go away. Also, we want all the rights to your patents and all that stuff. And we want everything and all the hard drives and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, cool. And then they're dead. Because think about it, right? When we're talking about billions, or society doesn't talk about trillions of dollars, but trillions of dollars are moved at this point in our history. No one uses that word, right? But when you talk about that much money, you're talking about, it's the equivalent of someone trying to break into my house right now, and me and my little family are here. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. I'm not going to stand there and say, hold on, sir. Like, it's not Jehovah's Witness knocking at my door, right? It's like, you are a threat to my kingdom. I'm going to oust you. That's it, So when we're talking about like free energy or energy that can be available to everyone for much cheaper and stuff, you got old systems of families or people that have been running the show or that particular department for so long that it's like, no. Because we've been doing hydrogen engines since like the 60s. But the big story now is, oh, no, EVs. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I've seen videos of guys who have taken like an old Chevy pickup truck and changed the engine in a way where they just put, refuse oil, right? Like you can go to McDonald's and get all that crappy oil and just put it into your engine, and that the offset of it is not as bad as, and all this stuff. And it's like,
for me, I would just go to like the prepping mindset of like, okay, you have 40, 50 solar panels, you have an EV, okay, but maybe you could only charge it for 10 or 15 miles a day, stuff hits the fan scenario. I'm like, that would be great. And then maybe you have a Faraday blocking thing so it doesn't get fried from an EMP. I mean, you could go as far as you want with it. But to me, that's where I come to, where it's like, if you can't pump gas or you can't get gas or diesel, or I always just go to those places of no more propane or whatever. So,
right.
Because out here, we're heavily relying on gas, diesel, and propane. So I always just do the mental experiments or exercise of what if,
Yeah, that's why I want to meet. I know I'm only one person away of meeting the people that are machinists and engineers and stuff, right? I would like to be able to figure out how, okay, so if we get cut from the teat of, resources from big companies and stuff, what am I going to do? Because if shit hits the fan, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna, but when shit hits the fan, what are you going to do? Like, even with like the whole COVID thing, right? They could just go, oh, there's no supermarkets. Our supply chains of things, of goods and food was being like just cut off. It's like, is anyone concerned about this? Like, we should not be thinking about like the thing that happened globally or whatever. Like, we should be thinking about the fact that we're not self-sustainable. I started building relationships with my neighbors. I'm like, hey man, I know like you see me for years now working on dead animals outside and shit, but like, hi, my name is Raven. Like, we should get to know each other. What do you do? Let's share what we know. And like, because if shit is a fan and we have to go back to that point of exchanging goods, what are you bringing to the table?
Yeah.
I hope you can bring something.
Definitely takes multiple people. I had the grandiose idea of being the Lone Ranger, and that's just impossible, especially the more acreage you have. It's like,
I think it's possible if you have the funds and the people, that can create systems in this kingdom that you have, so that if and when shit hits the fan, you're like, well, everything is taking care of itself. But you got to think about how many of us is in this kingdom, you know? Are they going to break in? There's so many layers to this. I love how you think, because this is how I think all the time. I mean, I have my bug out bags and all this stuff. The power went out here a couple weeks ago in the middle of the night. I was like posting something, some weird energy, not to sound spiritual, but like it was like a lot of attention. People started contacting me. I was getting phone calls and I was like, did I take LSD? And I looked at my stash and I was like, no, I did not. Like, what's going on? But I remember this feeling when like things get really like, and then all of a sudden my whole house went, when the power went out. So I was like, we live in an old place, an old neighborhood and stuff. We're on right off reservation land. I was like, there's no storm though. Nothing happened. And then the energy was coming back, but it was trickling. So like my AC would turn on, but it wouldn't function. But then I plugged my phone into the wall and nothing would happen. The ceiling fans were spinning really slow. So I made a brand new type of bug out bag. So I was like, what? So I'm saying all that because, yeah, I appreciate and admire how you think.
We can definitely affect electronics. My friend that works here helps me out. He can't wear a digital watch, he said, because he fries them. Something about the iron in his body or his magnetism.
Yeah.
I definitely believe, and I've heard from enough people that, yeah, we can pretty much fry or short out electronics. So yeah. I'm not surprised.
Well, I mean, for that one, though, the power went out everywhere. Because I went outside, I looked up at the sky. I was like, there's extra, like, not lights, but extra stars. And I looked, I grabbed my binoculars because I'm telling you, I'm that guy. I'm not paranoid. But I'm like, I need to secure everything, right? I knew my fiance was good. It's like, cool, she's breathing, everything's fine, she's in bed, cool. I got snacks and food and everything in the other bug out bag, like fresh stuff, so we don't go to the dry stuff soon and everything. But the power went out everywhere. But what you were saying about affecting, there has been times where my mind, I'm in a certain state of operating. It's usually when I call it mercurial. I will walk and like my phone will glitch. Or she's working and like her computer starts glitching. Usually that happens when I take psychedelics though. Like you'll see the time, but like scattered all over the screen of the phone. I'm like, I'm just going to go home, dude. My bad. But yeah. Anyway.
So fun tangents. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that more. But yeah, circling back to Amanita, just to clarify, people will not trip on it. Correct?
Yeah, you're not going to trip on it, okay. But everybody's physiology is different. But it's not just everybody's psychology and mental and like brain chemistry is different. So I have clients that they've purchased either Amanita or other things, and it's been like a year, and they haven't taken it yet. Like, they haven't ingested it yet. They go to their medicine cabinet, they grab it. I'm like, man, I'm jealous. Like, I wish I was that sensitive, dude, that I could just like be in the presence of something and just experience it. I'm like, what are you experiencing though? Because I want to know. I'm not scientific, but I do have a scientific structure in my brain somewhat. I'm like, what are you experiencing? And they report what I experience. I'm like, what? How? But I also have people that buy like an ounce like every 2 weeks, and they're done with that ounce and they love it, you know? And I have a handful of clients that work with Amanita in conjunction to other like entheogens. So they'll do ketamine or they'll do LSD or mushrooms. And yeah.
So the muscimol and ibotenic acid is agarin another compound? Because that's what that one company I mentioned uses. I guess there's a lot of stuff in it, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. The main ones are the ibotenic acid and the muscimol. Yeah.
Okay. And it's cool, the bullet points. It's like, I feel like everybody needs this because it's like help with PTSD. Right. Everyone has that, especially the last 4 years. Right. Anxiety, depression, stress, like calm central nervous system, sleep issues. I'm reading this. I'm like, everybody probably needs to be on there.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like in my journey of work, like harvesting it and doing the whole process to it. And it's inevitable that you start to learn the scientific part of how the human body works. So the conversation of GABA and mitochondria came up. a lot. And you know, I'm not talking about this from a spiritual sense. I mean, scientific proof. It's not even, you know, it's just proof that mitochondria are the batteries to your body, right? So like when you drink coffee, it's not so much that coffee's stimulating to like keep you awake and stuff. It's stimulating in other ways, but coffee's not necessarily like a stimulant, if you will. It's not like cocaine or any of the other fun stuff. But then you'll crash. So it's like, why am I crashing? It's like, because eventually you'll come to the realization, you can come to the realization there's sleep and then there's rest. So you can get 8 hours of sleep and have no hours of rest and feel exhausted when you get up. Or I do meditate, but it's not for spiritual reasons. It's because when you meditate, you do put your body into a state of rest. So you're allowing mitochondria to go through their full cycle and recharge themselves. You know, mitochondria die, new ones are born, right, or created by the body. When you rest, you allow that cycle to happen. So you're allowing the mitochondria that aren't ready to die to recharge, and then you're allowing the ones that are dying to just die and get them out of the way to make room for the new workers, you know? This is where GABA comes in, and GABA production from the body. But our lives, you know, drinking coffee, smoking cigarette, tobacco, like, right? Everything that we do, alcohol, all this stuff, like, it's not that they're bad. I enjoy all that stuff. It's that if we were never taught, hey, the story of everything in moderation, I think should also be everything with awareness. So if you're bringing something in, do some research on what that is depleting and taking out. Because after you go to sleep, after, you know, a whole day of espresso, amazing espresso, right? Your body is still dealing with that. So your mitochondria are still working when they should be resting. When you're sleeping, they should be resting. And then, from my understanding, GABA supplements, they're not absorbed by the body properly, if at all. And everyone's different too, right? So what do you do then? And I had this conversation with one of my homies that you know, Sky, one night. I think he called me or I called him, and I was on a bunch of ketamine. We had this conversation about like the magic of GABA, because he was playing with me on this game. I was just like, GABA, GABA, GABA. And like we started to, it's like he got on ketamine sort of, and we started to go deeper into this thing. It's like, okay, hold on. So muscimol, right? And this thing with muscimol, it's like, because it is a story. All data, when you take a supplement, it's information, data. It's a story that interacts with your body. And each cell, each hormone, each organ has a set of data that is a story. Your heart beats, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Muscimol comes in. It's like a spell or a code or a sequence, like a software program. It is not GABA, but when it comes into the body, your mitochondria interact with it. And it's almost like I'm definitely, you know, anthropomorphizing mitochondria here. The way I see it is GABA, mitochondria believes that it's in the presence of GABA, its own GABA. So it behaves exactly like the way it would if it was interacting with your body's natural GABA. So you take Amanita and you feel awesome the next day. You just, whether everybody feels slightly different, but it's always the same story. It's like, I just feel like more grounded or alert. I feel more vivacious. I feel more, you know, spunky and sparkly and whatever. It's like, yeah, because you have energy, like mitochondrial energy. You know, it's like your battery just got recharged, but you didn't even take GABA. And your GABA represents a person that's got crappy GABA production because of doesn't matter why. They feel amazing. It's like, yeah, and we could always feel that way.
Are you talking about that's dosing before bed?
I mean,
or
you can take it throughout the day too. I like to take it before bed because I also like the aspect that it does induce more lucid and or vivid dreaming. Because I like dreams. They're fun. I'm changing the channel. It's like, I don't have to take a psychedelic. I could just go to sleep. Because my dreams, they're way more intense and more colorful than psychedelic trips. So without the heavy load of like, now I'm exhausted, you know? So that's why I always suggest But there are times where I do take it in first thing in the morning too. And I just have this very grounded sense. You know,
What's
when
the
we
dosage?
think
Like how many
huh?
drops? Sorry, I want
No,
people are
no.
probably wondering, like
Yeah.
morning versus night. Just you personally, you could just speak for yourself, like how much
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. If I take it in the morning, I'll take about like 5 to 10 drops.
Okay.
Yeah. If I take it at night, which is usually when I take it, like 3 to 5 drops.
Okay, I thought
Yeah.
it would be more interesting. Yeah, sorry for cutting
Yeah.
off your
No, no, no,
story.
no,
You're
no,
starting to.
no. But the reason I do it like that is for me personally, it's almost like putting my mitochondria through a state of meditation. Wow. Because there's many ways to meditate. You don't have to sit lotus. I meditate when I drive my car because I just drove about 50 miles and I just realized that I just like, oh shit, not like, oh shit, I'm driving. I'm like, wait, how long has it been? It's like, yeah, it's been like 20 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
and I did not run a stop sign. I did not run a red light. I have not gotten pulled over. I'm not speeding. I didn't kill anyone. It's like, where was I? I was in a state of meditation. So your body just does what it does, and you don't need to always be present for it. So I take a higher dose of the amanita in the daytime where I feel like I'm doing that same concept of the driving to my mitochondria. It's like, y'all can relax, but also get to work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I heard it from the other Spagyric guy, like the first guy I was ordering from that we mentioned briefly, but
Yeah.
I think he had talked about adding it to alcoholic beverages, how is traditionally used or commonly
Yeah.
used. But do you just take those direct, or you don't necessarily need to add it to an alcoholic mixture?
This depends on how spunky I feel.
Okay.
No, sometimes I do my preferred method with any of it is in a glass of any type of alcohol, like wine, the whiskey, a gin. Gin is awesome. Anyways, but I'm not saying gin is awesome. I mean, we're putting Spagyrics in because it's got its own herbaceous flavors in there, but they're subtle, but it's also clean enough where you can experience them, you know? So then you can just do it to vodka too, but gin is great. I don't ever recommend, I mean, do what you need to do for yourself, but if it's already being put in alcohol and it already has, I mean, you're just opening the compounds even more and sipping it. But from time to time, I do just go straight up because I like, hey, wait, oh, that's what you taste like. Okay, cool. I'm gonna go back to putting you in alcohol, or I'm like, yeah, you're cool for a bit. Like, wow, and Amanita tastes amazing.
Hmm.
But even when I put it into like gin, I'll still do like a drop or two to get the flavor on my palate, and then I'll still put it in the gin and just sip it and just enjoy it. Yeah.
Could you, like, I think a few times I just did a shot glass with water just to shoot it back and just put a few drops just to like take out the harshness. Does that work?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But you could also just do like a shot of whiskey or something.
9 a.m, just when I'm taking my
All right.
Amanita.
Just one. Yeah. No, there's times where I'll take a bunch of stuff in the morning. I'm definitely buzzing all day. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. There's freaking alcohol in there. I feel great, but yeah, let's do it.
That leads me to a question: mixing different things. Is it just intuition? Like, because I'm the kind of guy, like whether it's alcohol or tobacco, generally I don't like to mix too many things at once. I just like to
Yeah.
experience each one separately.
Yeah. But you usually figure out what you don't want to mix by having mixed it before, right? Yeah.
True. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But like I was having like a early lunch yesterday with some homies and they were having tea. And I'm not a big tea guy because I like strong things. I like flavor. And I'm just like, this is just like brown water, like kind of little chlorophyll-ish, maybe. I don't know. No offense to the tea people. But it was like, well, what do you understand what the tea ceremony, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. Usually I get invited to these things and I'll bring an assortment of substances. I'm like, look, just hear me out. So like, let's do a little microdose bump of ketamine. It's like, okay, cool. All right. Now I have, in here, datura and some, blue lotus leaf and datura leaf, right? All dry, and some tobacco, like organic tobacco and stuff. And there's a little bit of DMT in there. And there's a little bit of Syrian root, which is MEOI. the concentration of the DMT and MAOI is very small to the plant material that's in there. So you can take a puff. You're not going to blast off that off, but just here, take a puff of this. I'm like, well, they're like, well, I just tried ketamine. I'm like, just trust me. And then they do it, and then I'm like, now you can do this a little bit of the stimulant too. And they're like, are you crazy? I'm like, just try it. And they're like, that was amazing. I was aware, but grounded. Like I didn't go all the way up there. I was just there enough where I can look at these things and go, you're fucking weird, dude. You're a creature. You're this, without getting lost in the experience. And it's like, yeah, same thing. Just experiment with these things. And how did you figure this out? I'm like, I haven't figured it out. I'm playing with these things because to me, color theory corresponds with music theory, and it corresponds with food theory, and it corresponds. I don't even think food theory is a term, but to me it is, because when I make perfumes, when I cook food, when I blend these different spagyrics and stuff, I'm harmonizing different sounds, different notes. So I'm creating my own little symphony. It's like, yeah, I'm going to take this thing that's going to blast me away. But every time I blast away, I can't come back with anything. It's like, hey, so where were you for 20 minutes? I'm drooling, I don't know. But if I take this other thing that keeps me very present in that experience, I'm like, cool. I mean, I also do my homework, because certain things chemically you don't want to put in the body at the same time. But with the spagyrics, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're making me feel innocent, because the craziest thing I'm doing right now is smoking mugwort. It's like a blend: mugwort, damiana, skullcap, raspberry leaf, mullein, calendula, rose petals, blue lotus, and blue cornflowers. So it's like a blend that I found from a company, and that's nice in between cigars. It's the mullein actually, I think, got rid of my chronic cough I had for a few months. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. This is that thing we were talking about towards the beginning of you're bringing things in, start to clean them out, push whatever. There's nothing wrong with, unless you're smoking crack, or doing heroin. It's just do opium, right? And just take coca leaf, do cocaine, don't do crack. Now you're getting so far away. But clean everything, clean the receptor sites, clean the brain, detox and all this stuff. You know what I mean? So the mullein is amazing. I love mullein with some lobelia, and datura is amazing too. If you haven't been able to work with it, don't eat it. But when you smoke it, she likes fire, and it's not toxic or entheogenic when you smoke it, but it opens up your lungs in a way, dude, that's how I got myself to. I still like tobacco, but I'm not a smoker anymore. But I started to just make blends with datura, and it opens up your lungs, and it makes your breath, without even thinking about it, your lungs and your breathing starts to behave as if you were meditating. So deeper breaths, but then you're aware of it. You're like, why am I breathing so deep all the fucking time? It's oh, because I'm smoking datura, and it's this very opening, grounding, centering kind of thing. But datura, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Oh, let me see him. You have a bunch of animals, and I don't know if we're gonna have time to get through them all. You mentioned cicada. We talked about mountain lion, coyote, rabbit a little bit. You also have hawk, tarantula, serpent. The tarantula one I'm really drawn to. I actually used to keep tarantulas. I never held them, but I had the orange baboon. That one's super venomous. Trapdoor spider, which isn't a tarantula technically. I had a bunch of pink toe. Those were actually kind of fun.
Yeah. But I love tarantulas.
They're interesting creatures.
Yeah. Tarantulas are great. So the conversation I was having earlier about your story. What's your story? Tell me your story. What's your storytelling? And if you don't know, maybe go into your deeper aspects and find out, there always is old stories, right? Stories are webs. All right. That's why in every culture where there's tarantulas and spiders, there's always stories about, they are the storytellers. They weave their stories, right? They weave their belief systems. They weave their traumas. They weave all that stuff, right? How they react to triggers or whatever, And tarantula is awesome because one of the main things that I got from the experience with tarantula was I just became aware that I've been weaving a web of stories throughout my whole life. And it's like a web diagram, right? These things, but they're all connected. They always come down to a center, which is me. And if you ever seen tarantulas or spiders like building webs, tarantulas don't build webs like spiders do, but they do lay it out, right? Because they're like, alarm systems and stuff, right? But they're so connected to it and they're aware of it. So their whole bodies are centered around and connected to the idea of this is an expansion of me.
Yeah, if there's a little vibration on it, they sense it, right? And that's how they grab the prey.
And they can tell by the vibration if that's prey or it could be harm. It could be a predator. So they don't just always come out. So like I've always kept tarantulas. My favorite is the Venezuelan sun tiger. And she would make this little like kind of funneled little tunnel thing. And if I would tap it to get her to come out because I'm like drunk or something and I want to show her off to my friends, which is totally stupid because they're so fast. But I would tap it with a tweezer or my finger and she would not come out. She would actually go deeper into it. Then if I put like an insect in there that's for food, I mean, that bitch would just come out, grab it and put it on a display, rip it apart and then like go back inside. Like that's all you get. And I'm like, okay, cool. So they understand it's just creating extensions of you. That's it, right? And I'll use the spiders as an example because they're so similar. When something happens to their web, maybe a big prey came through or whatever, or they didn't like where they position their web because they're meticulous about and strategic about where they put their webs. So you may have seen an orb weaver or something make a web today, and then tomorrow you come back and it's gone. And there's no evidence that like something happened. It's because after it built it, went through all the trouble, it realized, nah, this isn't the spot. And it eats the webbing so it can, reuse it. And it's a great symbolism for us in the conversational storytelling. You may have created a story that may have been useful or you thought was useful or beneficial at a point in your life, but it's not anymore. And usually a lot of people revert to maybe like shame, creates a trauma, all this intricate crap that it's fine. You are where you are in your development, but it's not necessary. You can take your stories back, regurgitate it, digest it, and return it into the potential of creating a new web, a new set of stories for yourself. And if that doesn't work out, just do it again. I've watched spiders in my backyard do this like 3 times in a day. I'm like, what? Oh my God.
A lot of recreating new starting new. Did you ever breed? Like I was breeding dubia roaches in a bin. My parents loved that. It was when I was living with them years ago. I had the plan to like catch crickets outside and stuff, but that ended up being too much work, to try.
It is. No, it is. I mean, when I had a lot of these critters that needed crickets and stuff, but then my house smelled kind of funny, especially where they were at, because crickets are just no judgment. They just stink. Mm-hmm. Especially, they just stink. That's it. Because you're breeding, they're shitting, they're all this stuff. I was like, I don't know how long I could do this. After my tarantula died, I was done. Yeah, cool. I had her for almost 20 years. It was the sun tiger. Wow. I had her for like 22 years, I think. And she's actually in the tarantula spagyric. Oh. Yeah.
I had to resist getting a tree frog like a couple weeks ago, as if I need another responsibility of something to take care of. But I know some of these animals are like like tarantulas are one of the easiest animals to keep. You feed them once a week and you have a little water dish, right? And you refill that. Yeah. But frogs are
tree frogs, dude, amphibians are ridiculous, dude. I've always wanted a tree frog, poison dart frogs and stuff. I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. If you got to go away for like a few weeks, you got to trust someone or pay someone. And it's like, man, that's why I don't have even like a dog. I'm like, I can't do this. My cats are fine. I can feed them for like 4 days and give them enough water for like 4 days. And then I got to come back or call a friend. But like a frog, it's not even like toads are, less maintenance, but like a tree frog, the humidity's got to be on point. And if it got too hot, you ran out of water and then you come back and they look like mummies. They're dead. I'm like, I did that.
I'm in love with koi fish. I decided I want a second koi pond like outside of the dome, but those are fascinating. I think they call them like dogs of the dogs of the fish kingdom or something. Because their
Yeah.
personalities are so
Yeah.
cool. But
I've seen videos of people that have them. They'll like flick the water,
yeah,
and then they'll come up and they'll
Yeah.
pet them. I'm like,
Yep.
one day I'll have the property. I want a koi pond. Just I'll pay 30 grand for a freaking rare golden dragon looking koi or whatever. I know it's ridiculous, but it's like
the ones I bought, I bought them online. I think they were like 40 to $50 each or so. If you don't like, and they all look different. I don't think you could really tell the difference with the thousands of dollar ones.
Yeah. No, there's some. I've seen some. Yeah. They're like these scales. They're like iridescent gold, but they glow. Yeah. And then, I'm. It's ridiculous. I'm like expensive plants, expensive animals, and it's like, I just want you to grow. Like I'm going right now through a thing with the betta fish, the Chinese fighting fish.
Oh yeah.
Because I have one. His name's Oni, and he's just bro. Like he's so flamboyantly beautiful. Like his fins just look like the most expensive drapes that you would find in like, the queen's quarters or whatever. And he's so beautiful. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm projecting. I'm like, we should get you to fuck. We should get you to mate and see, like, and I bought females and it's just not working out. I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this, but yeah. I appreciate sometimes like the artistic aesthetic that sometimes nature produces in these animals. I'm like, how did you do that?
I don't know if people would buy that beta spagyric is the word beta. Like, no, I want an alpha spagyric.
I know, right?
The connotation.
Because they're really alpha.
They're
That's
aggressive.
the funny part. It's like, I don't want a soy boy beta bitch, fish. But yeah.
Well, let's talk about the metal spagyrics for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think you touched on the oil of gold. I think that was one of the first ones I tried. But even before that, I think this was like, I don't know, 7-8 years ago, I tried copper, tin, and I think it was lead were the first three that I took like consistently. And it was kind of scary taking lead specifically because you always, it's a heavy metal. Why would you take it? But then you learn, like you explained, spagyrics, you're not taking the actual substance.
Right.
So it's different. But yeah, these are really interesting because they each correspond to a planet and then different gods.
Like
right?
a god or archetype, an energy center, right? It's like the throw is Mercury, and then each archetype is a planet, it's a god or goddess, it's a metal, and then it has stories behind it. Back to the story thing, right? So communication, the throat chakra and stuff for Mercury. But yeah, this is what I was explaining earlier about the homeopathy part. And is it just homeopathic? It's like, no, it's working on something because it's not just like the energy center. It's also certain glands or certain organs. They say like the liver, they say it's ruled by Jupiter, all that stuff, right? That's why like if Jupiter is the god of like abundance, but also of expansion. And if you got diabetes because you can't control what you put in your mouth or the amounts of it, right? It's like overindulgent because it's the god of indulgence, right? You drink too much, your liver is like the first thing to go, you know what? I'm done. You get fatty liver or failure or whatever. But it's beautiful to be aware of these things too. Like these things do correspond to one another. And it's important to me, at least, to look at the scientific aspect. But, Jupiter rules this thing and this thing and this thing in the body. It's like, cool. Let's see what science has to talk about when it comes to that. And all the research with like, ironclad, the proof is there. And being able to put all that stuff together. Sometimes you may not know that it could be beneficial to use a metallic oil as a guidance system or software program for the body or the mind. So I always tell people, like, think about your symptoms, right? Think about...
For infections, I think zinc and I sell zinc carnosine, but zinc often gets the highlight, but copper also is required for the immune cells. And it's...
Silver does it too, but you don't hear a lot of work on silver on the body, but that also makes sense because silver is the pituitary gland, so it's the unconscious. So it makes sense that silver is not going to be, there's not going to be a lot of conscious material available on silver, but then silver is reflecting the sun. So it's the polarity of the sun. So if you were to look at and then gold it's not the best example at the same time, because what is gold doing in the body? They don't really know. They don't know. And okay, what does Mercury do in the body? Like as an archetype, and we don't know. Like, how can we talk about that, right? It's like, okay, cool. So now we only have like the spiritual conversation to have when it comes to certain metals. But even right now, I'm working on metals that are done, that are not part of the seven, because there's so many elements in the periodic table. And one of my personal little adventures is to figure out how to do this to every single element. That also includes radioactive elements, gases. Yeah.
Is that because the process is slightly different to extract each one?
Yeah. And also because, with plants, you get to extract the oil, ferment to get the spirit, and then calcine, right? When we're working with metals, we're not using the spirit because it's acetone, but you do use acetone as a solvent to extract from other stuff. And you're not going to use the salts. You're actually getting rid of the salts or the physical body. You don't want that in there either, because they're terrible for you. Unless we're talking about like magnesium acetate, you know what I mean? Like that stuff, yeah. But you don't want any of that stuff in there. So all you want is ethanol from distilled wine and just the essential oil. That's it. But I'm like treading into these murky waters or unknown waters, because we're talking about like xenon gas. Like, did you understand that you have to like do this thing and it has to be an ampule and then like ambient temperature, or it has to be under vacuum and this kind of pressure. And I'm like, cool. That might not happen this lifetime, but definitely like, a friend of mine and I, we're starting to get into the radioactive elements, and because if it exists, it has all three principles. It has a soul, it has a spirit, it has a body. And yeah, I mean, that's why we're here, right? It's like, we're not here to repeat all the same crap that's been done, because what's the point? You already know the outcome. It's like probability theory. It's like, cool. Not that we really understand probability, but we kind of get it. It's like, there you go.
The
So right now,
gases the noble gases are exciting, because I have the Edgar Casey, like violet ray, like the old school version with the beeswax in there, and they use it in cosmetics. Like you can zap pimples and stuff, but it's argon gas, so it's high voltage that runs through it, and then it glows that purple glow and kicks off ultraviolet light. But you also have negative ions, and then back there's the Therify, the Paul Harris device, which runs like 250,000 volts at low amperage through a blend of noble gases. So you have like this orange purple, you have like neon, argon, and then other gases. And in Tesla time, they were using that to heal people, like running voltage through these gases, exciting them, and then you expose the tissue to that. And the effects of the gases are like underappreciated. They're incredible.
Yeah, you're cool, dude. Like I appreciate that. Yeah, because it's such a weird conversation to have, and I want to discover, how can I do this in the laboratory? Sure, I'm gonna have to buy some bigger equipment, more expensive equipment. Might have to crowdfund some stuff, but it's there. Like, you can work with things that you don't get to really interact with, if at all, in your environment, but they are part of our reality. And like, how on earth did someone like Tesla or any of these guys even think of this stuff? Like, oh, you can use this gas as a treatment. Like, what? Doesn't even exist in our atmosphere. It exists in the stratosphere or something. Like, how did you even figure that out? Different conversation for another time, but yeah. And I want to, But for now, I'm utilizing what I'm learning from working with these, the classical 7 alchemical planetary metals to,
Can we name them? Because I think you have half on your website right now, like gold, copper, tin, silver, lead, mercury.
Yeah. So there's so it's Sun's day, gold, Monday, moon day, silver, Wednesday, Odin, which is Mercury. Thursday, Thor's day, which is tin, Jupiter. Friday, Freya's day, Venus, Aphrodite, copper. And Saturday, Saturn's day, lead. That's the whole idea of like going from lead to gold or turning lead to gold. So lead is at the base, gold is the crown. So you're just changing everything about yourself and your energy centers to the higher state. But it gets more complex than that because it's like that's why the stories really are awesome about like the myths of these gods and goddesses. So Saturn is Chronos, time, and he's the father to Jupiter, Zeus. Chronos, Saturn has been known to eat his children. So when whatever chick got knocked up and had Jupiter, she decided, I'm going to hide him so that he doesn't get eaten. Jupiter grows up knowing about this. So he grows up with daddy issues. And of course, he's going to rebel against the father. So he is going to become the polarity of Saturn. So Saturn is lead is, if you look at lead metal, it's heavy. It starts to compress. Like galena is a beautiful example of lead as a lead ore. They're like these little cubes, and you can see like the fracture points where they're just kind of sinking into themselves. Some of the examples are like a almost perfect cube, but you can see it. The edges are the center of each squared side. It's like compressing in. It's restriction. It's the hermit. It doesn't care to, go out. It's just stuck in its own ways. Jupiter is the opposite. Jupiter is expansive. All the stories about Jupiter, it's just like, I just want to fuck. I just want to drink. Just have a good time. I just want to mess around, go to war, all this like outward stuff, right? But there's a beautiful symbolism between the two because when you're going from lead to gold, lead has a lesson for Jupiter, or Saturn has a lesson for Jupiter. But Jupiter, in that interaction, Jupiter starts to teach Saturn, loosen up. Like, here, have a drink, bro. Like, relax. Have a good time. Just like chill. While Saturn is teaching Jupiter, maybe you don't need that much sugar. Maybe like don't eat so much. Like you don't need a whole bucket of chicken. Like maybe just like have a few wings and share it with your homies. You know what I mean? Like just like relax. And Saturn would teach Venus, maybe don't be such a whore right now. Like stop giving into your childhood tendencies of abandoning your children at home so you can go to the nightclub. Like maybe you're done with the nightclubs, or wait for them to get a little older, be patient. So they start to interact with each other back and forth, influencing each other. So as you're going from lead to gold, everyone's growing up, or every aspect of yourself is maturing.
Wow.
And these oils, even though I haven't tested them all to see what kind of compounds are in there, so when I do, it'll be awesome because I could talk about it scientifically. Like, this is what Mercury is going to do because these are the compounds. Here's the page. Here's the proof, blah, blah, blah. But for now, it's like, at least I got the stories to be able to understand, oh, this is what's going on. Every time I take copper, especially large doses, I don't know if it's just synchronistic or it's happening all at the same time. Like, the stars aren't dictating your life. The stars are just a reflection of what's going on at this very moment. That's it. So it's not because Mercury's retrograding, like, everything that you said during the podcast came out like shit. It's just like maybe it wasn't the time. I don't know. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
I'd love to have you chat with, I had a guest on, Robert Seelig, and he's a practitioner that works with hair tissue mineral analysis. So, you send in hair clippings, they burn it, they see the spectral emission, and then you see your ratios of elements. And he talks about a lot of stuff astrologically, and especially like the zinc to copper ratio or balance.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's way over my head. Like I think it's interesting. I can't follow it, but it's just fascinating that there's so many levels to this, and you could look at it like from a physical level and then from a planetary level, like you were talking about, and it actually does completely sync together. Like they fit.
Yeah. Because again, it's all consciousness, right? But when it fragments it into infinity as infinite possibilities and objects or whatever, it's still one thing. So it's all interconnected. So sometimes I want to understand this thing right here, right? But I'm only trying to see I understand this by this thing, but maybe they're too far apart from each other. So, it's like science and spirituality. They're so far from each other, at least from where you're looking at. And it's like, find the connecting pieces, and you might be able to, like, you will be able to bridge them closer together and see that the distance thing, which distance and time creates space, it's an illusion. So it's like, no, like it's not that they're so far apart. It's just where you were looking. That's it. And yeah, it's interesting how you can be able to correlate all these things because they are interconnected. It just may be a million things between you and me, but we are interconnected. Like between two humans, there's like skin color, religion, culture, ethnicity, gender. Like there's so many things between the two of us. And it's like, or I could just look at you, stop and be able to figure out like, how did we actually connect? Consciousness. Okay, that's way too simple though. But the cultural, gender, all that stuff, it's too complex as well. How do we feel like, let's hang out. Let's see. What is your intention? Are we that far apart from each other? And even the metals too. Because even with the work I'm doing, I do find myself saying a lot. I am way over my head. Like this is way over my head. I'm supposed to live off of this? Like I can't like really like I'm still trying to understand. I understand it. My mind's baffled. Yeah. It works. Yeah, but how? They need a story. You need to come up with some shit. I'm like, there's no way. But zinc and copper, there is an interesting relationship between the two of them. And yeah, that's why I do want to meet the person or the people that can cut me some slack on the price so I can test these compounds so that we can talk about them a lot more broadly. Not only would it be good for business, but also there's a lot of people out there that are doing what I'm doing with the metals and the plants. And I don't know. I don't know everything, and I'm never going to know everything. I require someone like you, for example, to show up and say, oh, did you know this? Did you know that? And I'm like, holy shit, you're just expanding my story of understanding, because I want to understand exactly why zinc and copper have this special relationship to each other. And it can help me maybe understand one day what silver is actually doing in the body. And is there a biological aspect to lead? Like, is there like a parts per million measurement of lead in the body that could actually be beneficial? And it is, but because lead is, in so many places, we don't know. We just see the overabundance of it. And it's like, oh yeah, now my kids are born with like some thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Silver's a fascinating one that I've played with. I used to make the colloidal silver in the dark, like in my RV like closet, and drink it in the dark because supposedly it's light reactive. It was something I heard, like silver film, like the Santa Claus pictures when we were growing up. Yeah. So when light hits it, it reacts and takes away its strength. And yeah, the feeling I remember of drinking that in pitch black darkness before bed, it was like a tingling electrical kind of minor shock feeling going into my intestines. It was pretty cool. Yeah. That's a fascinating metal. And just even topically, like I think, back to the prepping thing, like that's one of the best things to know how to do. You have distilled water, you have 0.999 pure silver rods, like you can make a amazing topical.
Yeah. I mean, even silver threads being used in textiles, it's like, all right, we're getting somewhere, bro. Like it's taking forever, but yeah. From antimicrobial. Like I used to snowboard back in the day, but I would wear that ski company Spider, and they would make these antibacterial fabrics interwoven with the nylon and the cotton. And yeah, you would sweat and it would kill off the bacteria that would cause odor. And so I'd be sweating and I'm like, this isn't that bad. This is not bad at all. Like it's silver. It was expensive, but it's like, it's not made of pure silver, right? Like it's pure silver threads, but also interwoven and stuff. And I'm like, oh, and I think I saw a company that's playing with the Faraday cage idea, but interweaving silver into like caps, like skull caps and stuff.
Yeah. I used to wear that. And then now my perspective on that is touching the skin isn't good because you'll attract EMFs and then it'll create secondary frequencies. I have a friend that's smarter than me with that stuff. And he told me, we're creating harmonics with those that we don't know the effects, but I think Faraday, like I slept in Seattle a couple weeks ago and I brought a pure silver tent and put that on the bed and grounded it. So I pretty
Yeah.
much grounded a shield around me and I wasn't touching the silver. And it felt great. I mean, I was on a big hotel, Hilton or something, multiple stories up. And yeah, I think
Which
it
also
definitely
feels
has.
great too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. I still don't know what is going on with all the 5G and everything. I do believe though
Uh-huh.
that if you are evolving something outside, we might have to do something with ourselves or our surroundings in order to be able to, like, the first microwave was not the best thing, right? In your kitchen, right? But then they started figuring out like, oh, we put this screen of these filaments, we can at least contain it in there. Whatever you do, don't open the microwave, like, remove the magnet and stuff. I'm like, okay, yeah, we're doing great. We need to make these choices and go, all right, we just saw 100,000 birds die.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how you're going to like Faraday cage birds, but yeah, you know,
Yeah. Interesting times for sure, which is why I think like Spagyrics are so powerful to me in combination with like supplementation. Like I like vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, basic stuff. And then you have these animal Spagyrics. I've been really enjoying I probably have to be more consistent with it though, because I've really been rationing them. And so
yeah.
probably
I'll
going
send you
through.
more. Like, but I do tell people a lot of the biggest question that I do get is, like, how long? And I
Mhm.
always tell people, honestly, I approach anything that I take. If it's a new supplement, like right now, I'm working with this compound found mostly in like German chamomile called apigenin. Amazing. And I tell myself when I start a new thing, we're going to do a full lunar cycle, a full month. Something inside of me tells me you can't just do it for a week or two or for a few days and expect something, because you're bringing in new data that's interacting and engaging with old data. So this new system, if you really want to know what it's doing, what are the effects? Are they plausible based on what they're saying in research? I need to at least do a full month and then decide if I want to do another month, and if I'm getting to know someone, it's not like meeting some chick at the bar, or some dude at the bar. It's like, if you want a one night stand, sure. But if you're open to the possibility of something more long term, either romance or a friendship, you're gonna have to hang out more, And so the more you hang out, the more you'll be able to like, okay, I'm starting to understand you, because I was projecting onto you like the first 4 weeks or the first 2 weeks, because I was projecting because I'm looking for something. So usually when I work, what always happens is after a month of every single day working with whatever it is, I'll be able to go, all right, I have no complaints, or I really like this, whatever it is, the decision, whatever it is, it leads to the decision of, all right, I'm good. Or yeah, let's do another month. And usually by that time, I'll know if this is going to be something that I'm going to work with more long term. That's more on the supplement side of things, like, vitamins and stuff like that. But with the Spagyrics, I always find like after a month, maybe two, like, cool. But it'll show up again if it's time to, keep working with it.
Should you refrigerate them? Because I've noticed, I think it's ones that I've kept for 1 to 2 years. Like it'll kind
Oh
of
yeah,
evaporate
long
out.
time, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're in ethanol. But if you
Okay.
want, because even if it dries out, the oil is still in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just put some whiskey in there and just shake it up, and then just take it again. Yeah, I'm serious.
Okay. Yeah, I think I probably threw out several that I thought were empty. So that makes sense that, yeah, the part of it would still be in there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Are you still offering courses? Like I noticed on your website, you have like a training that you offer. Is that in person or online or?
Yeah. So I did have a thing where I was doing in person, like one on one. Right now, I'm actually updating it soon. I do have a course in October in France, in Chamonix, France, with two other amazing alchemists. So I'm like honored and privileged because they know what they're talking about when it comes to the mineral metallics and the plants. But I'll be teaching for the first time ever, like human history,
Cool.
animal alchemy, like how to take the animal, do the whole thing, process it. And so I'll be doing that. Yeah. And what was on the website, or still on the website, it's not available right now, but I'm going to tweak that a little more. And it'll be more of taking the spirituality, the alchemical processes, the Jungian alchemy, shamanism, all that stuff, and into a whole new thing. I'm still working on it, but it's basically like a supplement of storytelling.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And then, under catalog, they can check out all your different Spagyrics, and you're constantly kind of updating, right? Coming out with new ones.
Yeah. Right now I'm working on Scorpion. That one's hard because, I mean, I'll find scorpions out here. I'll go down south to get them. It's like impossible to find a scorpion that's dead. And also they're very elusive. But those I do go and get myself, or I order them online, just get varieties. And that's painful because everything else in alcohol, like all the insects, they just get drunk and they're gone. I'm like, that's a great way to die. You just like, alcohol, fuck, this is uncomfortable, but also I'm drunk and I'm afterlife. But the scorpions, man, it'll be like an hour. I'm like, cool. So now what I got to do is like kill them. And then, but I'm working on
like the only one that you have to do that, pretty much.
Yeah. There's something very Venusian about them. And they're just by nature, they're very Venusian copper, right? How many insects do you know, or anthropods, that crustaceans, right, that carry around their babies on their back and defend them with their lives? It's like, scorpions. And centipedes too. I'm working on that too, tiger centipede. But those, I just let them show up. And the other morning,
I've kept both of those animals before. They're very interesting.
They're so, it's like, they're definitely the ones that almost all people are like, I don't want to be near that. And they're definitely the two where, even more than the tarantulas, I'm like, I want to hold you. Like, I just want you to kind of crawl around, but I just don't want to do it. But I do. So I always spend time with some of the scorpions that I would get, like order them. None of the little like Arizona bark ones from southern New Mexico, because one little sting, man, you're done. Yeah, but so I'm working on that. I'm working on ring-tailed pheasant, the octopus, barn owl. There's a lot of animals in there, actually. I've been working on a diamondback rattlesnake for 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's mostly because I'm just letting it digest, because it hasn't called me like, all right, I'm ready to go into the world. I'm like, I have a feeling that it might not be publicly available. And then I have animals that I don't offer on the website, so like my tight-knit clientele know about, and they work with them, because some of them are, like raven, for example, is illegal. Can't even have a feather. Wow. They somehow got themselves wrapped up in the 70s in a Migratory Bird Act. So, because they're not endangered or threatened, but they got themselves accidentally put in that category of migratory bird, and you can't even have a feather. They find you with it, like it's like a federal thing. Yeah, but I got some animals that,
I forgot we had 2 questions at the end here. There's always a nanotechnology question. I don't know who's blowing up the nanotechnology conversation, but someone was asking, what are his thoughts on oil of gold to get rid of or transmute nanotechnology? I guess like nanotech, they're dropping from the sky or something. I don't know.
You don't like the weather trails and all that stuff, like chemtrails?
That's what I assume. I don't know if you have an answer to that.
So I don't, like if they started saying certain compounds, I wouldn't know what to say, what is like a remedy or but I don't have that kind of time to do the research either. But it would be finding out what are the compounds that are showing up in our rain, because it's different metals and all this stuff. And I don't know for certain if there are like nanobots in there yet, or if it was in the COVID vaccine. I don't know. But I do believe, though, I know this for a fact, that first of all, if you ask for guidance, just ask for pointers. Sometimes the universe can't give you the direct answer, or it does, but we're too ignorant or too in our embryonic or, cocoon stage to understand. So I always like to approach it from a perspective of, hey, can you at least give me step one, and then step two, step three, like start guiding me. And the story is really important. So if you believe that there's crap being put for some sort of like malicious intent, then that's factual because that's what you believe. And honestly, I remember when I was a kid, I would have a stomach ache, and my grandma, she would say in Spanish, I'm just translating it, sana sana culito de rana, si no sana hoy, sana mañana. So it rhymes. So it's like, heal, little butt of a toad. If it doesn't heal today, it'll heal tomorrow. So it would go away. She was not a witch, right? So it's not witchcraft. It wasn't, but it was, I guess you could call it a spell, right? Because spells, we spell words and technology. So if you believe that this thing, if you do this thing, and they could affect that, because I do have a few friends that they're like nerdy in the technological sense, and that's where I've come to understand the storytelling of technology is a form of storytelling. They're just databases, right? It's like creating a simulation inside of a computer system and blah, blah, blah. And it's just data, right? What's a computer virus? It starts to change, right? Everything's a reflection of you. So I don't know what the compounds are that are being rained on and are being absorbed by the plants. But if there are, we're eating them and we're breathing them, and we sleep in them and we shower in them because it's in our well water and stuff. But I would say, depending on what it is.
What about taking a bird Spagyric? Because they've been up there. I wonder if they know on a certain level, like the hawk, since it's like closer to those particulates at the source.
As far as like maybe finding out more.
Yeah.
Then you have to assume that the bird is aware of like, well, that's silver nitrate. But this is why I do like taking entheogens with the animal spagyrics. Because instead of these synchronicities and dreams, and it's kind of wispy or vapory for some of us, if you want to sit down with a red fox, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but the probability of that happening will I've been there. Take ketamine. Well, I take the fox spagyric and then I take ketamine, and I'm sitting on my porch with a red fox, and we're having a conversation. It's like, so what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it's like, that's really what you want to do? Like, your trip is about 10 minutes long. Hurry up. But yeah, I would say the thing about the bird spagyrics is that bird in general is about bigger picture. So you might find out that what you intended to do with the bird spagyric, like hawk, there's a topic. Topic is just like one little, like you have a painting, right? You're only focused on this artist like brushstroke right here. Red-tailed hawk doesn't care about that. It sees the bigger picture because it needs to understand. And the better that it knows the bigger picture, the more it'd be like, oh, there's a mouse 1.5 miles down from me. Now I'm going to go for it. But I needed to back out to really understand, do I care about that brushstroke? I might find out that there's something more important going on, which is always awesome when it comes to the animals. If you had an intention, which is why I tell people don't really have an intention other than to build a relationship, want to have the relationship. You don't go to a bar and I mean, I would hope that you don't go to a bar and expect, hey, what can you do for me? It's more like, hey, I'm so-and-so. Who are you? What do you like?
Exchange.
Yeah. So it's nice to know the archetype and the storytelling behind the animal, like bird, like hawk. But you might find out that maybe you don't care about what are the nanotechnologies being rained on us.
So I guess, is it okay to make friends with all of them at once? If I want to make friends with the rabbit, the mountain lion, the hawk, the tarantula, the red fox.
I mean, it's not often that you go to a bar and there's only one person there, right? Yeah. Like, you might start mingling with one, and maybe the conversation is, I don't know, I'm not really feeling like this today. So then you start talking to the other person, and it's like, bro, you're interested. Or the bartender, you know what I mean? I've literally walked out on dates because I'm hitting it off with this chick or the dude that's serving me drinks, and we're just laughing and high-fiving and shit. And it's like, cool. But yeah, but you know, don't just like chug them. You just ask yourself, I don't want to sound like one of these like very shamanic or spiritual people. It's like, honor it and blah, blah, blah. It's like, you can do all that without doing all that. It's just being aware. Show,
It's
yeah,
show it respect, and
yeah,
it's like smaller doses instead of, like you said, chugging it. Like it'll probably be better to take like 2 to 3 drops of each over 1 to 2 months, you
yeah,
think, versus just a shot.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
Because it's like an exciting conversation that we can't finish because you got to go, I got to go, or whatever. But if it's a good one, yeah, we're gonna come back to it, and we might even go, hey man, let's meet up and keep this going. Like I love where this is going. Like I'm already feeling that this entire time talking to you. I'm like, oh yeah. Aside from the podcast, I'm like, you're cool, man. I fucks with you. Like this is awesome. Let's keep it going.
Likewise,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
It's a fun chat. I knew I would enjoy this one a lot and have
yeah.
fun talking with you about it. Last question: cell salts. Do you use them? Is there a difference between cell salts and the Spagyrics? That's my favorite, actually. Like imprint. Like I have a little pad that imprints the frequency of cell salts into water,
Yeah,
and I just do the 12 cell salts in there. And I've just been on that one for the last, I don't know, 6 months to a year or something. But
yeah,
I don't think I've ever actually taken the product cell salts, but people do seem to get results from them. I don't know.
yeah. I used to do that too. They were awesome. Okay, so I don't know a lot about cell salts, but I do know that we're having a conversation of salts, right? Which is a part of the three when you break an animal or a plant. Let's stick to plants. A plant down, right? And that every plant, when you do burn away the physical and get to the ash and decant that into mineral, unmineralized water or distilled water, and you get every crystal. All I know is that every single plant has its own unique. Every type of plant has its own unique crystalline structure, which tells me that there is information. There is some sort of crystallized mathematical equation that adds up to this. This is the image and crystalline structure of rosemary, right? So if you're working with salts or minerals in general, you're working with data from whatever it is. So when you take any, like for example, any of the spagyrics that I make, you don't see any of the salts in the vials, but that's because I put it through a process where the oil and the salts come together and they bind and they slowly start to homogenize into an oil within itself. So the information is in there. So every time you take a spagyric that's properly and alchemically procured, you're working with the salts, which is not just one salt, right? People always say it's mostly potassium carbonate, but the fact that I'm getting a different crystalline structure per plant tells me that there are other minerals that are in there. So you are working with these things and they're necessary to, you need minerals because they, all the functions, right? So I don't really have a lot of knowledge on cell salts, but my knowledge of salts in general or mineral works that's the correlation between them and spagyrics is that every spagyric, except for the metallic ones and the mineral ones, they have the salts of the thing itself, and you are engaging with them. Smaller doses, so it's not like a supplement for the physical body, right? But there's an effect happening, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think on the oil of copper page, you have a picture of, is it the copper salts, like the blue?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites. Yeah, it was one that it might be the picture that you're talking about. It's on the brick, and then it's like, yeah, because of the contrast. Yeah, that was copper nitrate. So every version of copper as a mineral will give you different colors. So copper chloride will give you like this emerald green, but copper nitrate will give you that kind of blue. Copper oxide, it's such a dark green that it's black. But yeah, the crystalline structure changes. So there's a color component that also changes when it comes to them. It's fascinating, dude. Like my favorite one is cobalt. Very toxic working with these salts. Like but yeah, it goes from like fuchsia hot pink to this beautiful deep aquamarine blue to purples, violets. I've never seen a metal do any of that. That color spectrum, like hot pinks, like looks like some sort of Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper kind of pink, But it's the chromium shades of green that I've never seen ever in my life. And they're just different states of them. And I don't need to do that to the copper. I need the copper to be in one of, I think, 3 different possible states of being mineralized so that I can extract from or catalyze. But especially in that time, I was getting to know the metals. So I wanted to get to know the metal in different states. So before I go out with this girl, I want to know what, I know this sounds crazy, but it's like, I'm going to kind of see if I can find her little triggers and just kind of poke at them a little bit, because I want to see what I might have to deal with later. I just want to experience it. That's it. Yeah.
Makes sense. Awesome. Well, Israel, this was a blast. Instagram, materia _RTM _ RDM labs. Is that?
Yeah.
I'll put the link below where people could just click.
Thank you.
But
yeah. That's where I post everything and keep everybody up to date and do my.
When you were talking about all that, I said I was thinking in my head, like, people need to see it on your page, because it's like, you can describe it, but seeing it when you post on your stories and you show it, it's so cool to see the colors. It's wild.
No, and I'm getting back to doing my Instagram live rants, because what you're saying, but from the other side of that is, I would only put these images and videos and stuff up, and people would always contact me, dude, you need to do a podcast. You need to do something. Like, I need to know what the hell am I looking at right now, and why, the culmination of what is going on. So they all kind of work. They do work hand in hand, but it's there. So if any of this sounds weird, or like, there's no way he's doing that, it's like, no, check out the Instagram. It's there. Yeah. Except for the illegal stuff.
There is like a small proprietary part of it, right? Or is it all like you have to take the course to see everything? Or
wait, say that again?
Is there a proprietary aspect to the process of extraction, or is it all
of what
on the table?
Everything, or
like
I do show. No, I show it all. I do, and it's like, well, how do you post everything and show everything without giving the whole performance away? It's like, well, what liquid is it sitting in and being extracted with? You could take a dead animal and put it in alcohol and call that a spagyric, but it's not. And you'll get a tingly psychospiritual effect, but you're not going to have like the full thing. So it's like, come to the course and I'll tell you what my little secret is. It's gross, but it's beautiful, and it's yeah. It's every solvent, alcohol is a solvent, vinegar is a solvent, water, right? Like, you can, and the word is interesting. Solvent. It's a substance that ventilates the soul. It frees the soul, which is the essential oil. The kind of solvent that you're using will determine the kind of soul or aspect of the soul that you're going to experience or get to hang out with. Yeah.
Wow.
Which is a long-term goal for the metallic oils. I want to have in the oil of gold page, I want to have links that here's this gold, based on this solvent. I won't talk about the solvent, right? But it's like this, if you're looking at detox, so you want to like shit your brains out and flush everything out, or sweat all night and like, urinate like the heaviest things and detoxify the body. Like, this is the one that you want. If you're looking for a more psychospiritual part, like, you don't really want your body getting affected that much by this one. And it's all determined by the type of solvent that I used on that metal.
That makes sense. This could get into a whole topic of like human ingestion of ethanol. So I see on social media, I think it's most popular to say there's 0 benefits and alcohol's pure poison. Huberman, it's done 3-4 hour lectures. There's no benefits to alcohol or whatever. But I just think about it traditionally. And even with my studies on lipofuscin, which is like one of the things that accumulates in our body that ages us, like it's almost like a glycated thing that accumulates in the lysosomes of the cells. Alcohol, small amounts of ethanol actually prevent the accumulation. So there's one benefit. And then you think of,
Yeah.
like you were talking about extracting stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, I always kind of laugh when people say there's no benefits to alcohol. It's
But think
been
about
used for a long
alcohol,
time.
like we call alcohol spirit, right? Alcohol comes from alchemy, right? It was the Arabs that did this stuff in the middle of the desert, and spirit comes from that, right? The mind is the spirit in alchemy. So does everything need to freaking benefit you or have proof that it benefits you? If there is a benefit, it's only if it's not showing up on this test, if it's not showing up on this paper, then this is like the less extreme conversation of, is there a God? Is there consciousness, right? We can't measure it, so it doesn't exist. It's like, oh, okay. But I believe that the benefits of certain things are always, you can't calculate them always. But if you work with it, try it, and don't get lost in it, you can then talk to people like, here's the benefits. Because alcohol comes from plants, right? Fruits and stuff. The time of the year that you were fermenting was after your harvest in the fall. Whatever you couldn't harvest, whatever you didn't preserve, like nature does this thing where, like, if you have a fruit farm, right? There's always going to be excess sometimes, right? Not always, and sometimes. That excess, nature does this thing called fermentation on its own. There's videos of animals. This one from like the 70s where there's like this little like watering hole and these trees with fruits, and baboons and lions and warthogs and the elephants, and giraffes, they would all come there to eat the fermenting fruit, and they would just have a ball. This is like some weird, like crappy, quality imaging, but video. And the next day you see the baboons like this. They're all like they're hungover. They just had a blast. And it's like, even nature does this. So it's, yeah, well, what is the benefits? Like, I think that when I get home after a really long day and I just have my drink, it's cool. But let's not shoot it down, because there are these poison and medicine or a supplement are just determined by dosage. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Because you can drink water to the point where you drown.
It's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder the addictive quality. It's like you got the lesson, but you just keep going. Like I've even seen people get addicted to kratom, right? I watch YouTube videos, but they're taking like,
and it's not the kratom though.
Grams and grams a day, like just making those hit for prolonged periods.
But it's the problem isn't with the compound. If there even is a problem, what's going on here? Who's the one that's doing the performance? You know what I mean? It's a conversation of like gun control, right? The reason that I don't even want to have the conversation is because if I have a monkey wrench, which is a tool, and I can use this to fix my plumbing, or I can beat someone with it, right? Does that mean that because there's a possibility that this thing can be useful or dangerous, should I then judge it? No. Who used it as a bludgeoning device, and who used it as a tool? Like that's what's important, right? So it's like, I've seen people do certain substances too that other people cannot mess around with, because they're not at a certain stage with themselves that if they do try this thing, even if one time, they're gone. Like they're just gone, because there's something that they haven't healed, blah, blah, blah. Like addictive personalities, I don't think that's the correct term. I think the term is test out the individual. Who is behind it? It's like, I know that I really enjoy alcohol, but sometimes I got to go, oh, you know what? I'm just not going to drink this week. It's not even because I drank too much the other night. I did that when I was younger, but it's because, well, first of all, it's nice to take breaks. And then you go ahead and go have that glass of wine or whatever, and it's like, whoo, I feel so good. Like, let's go out. You know what I mean? Whatever. But yeah, I think that there's layers to this thing. There's no reason to demonize alcohol, and there are benefits.
Like you said, find out earlier. You were like, find out what it's depleting. Because I had a whole show a couple years ago on how entheogens or psychedelics deplete minerals, like namely like magnesium, but there's zinc, there's a copper, there's a whole bunch. And I know with alcohol, it's a lot of the same nutrients. It's like zinc, magnesium, B vitamins, which is why with my cigar enjoyment, habit, whatever you want to call it, ritual, I found out vitamin C and E like mitigate the arterial stiffening
Yeah.
and the negative effects of smoking. And yeah, I think there's ways to still live your life and enjoy it. But if someone is prone to, I don't know, being
Yeah.
alcoholic or, going way overboard, then maybe it is fine to like, I personally, I'm done with I had my journey with things you mentioned earlier, mushrooms and stuff. And now I'm just in like a grounding phase where it's like tobacco, like
Yeah.
I feel like Amanita was kind of grounding to me when I took it. I
Yeah.
felt like a nice feeling. But yeah, I'm done with blasting off for a while. But I think that was good to like shake things up, and it helped me break out of my bubble and stuff that I was in. So
Yeah.
I think
No,
it
I'm done
helped.
blasting off too.
Yeah.
It's like Terrence McKenna would say, when you get the call, after you pick up, man, like just hang up when you're done,
Yeah.
and because I kept going deeper and I kept seeing the same exact uncomfortable thing. And it wasn't this uncomfortable thing like, hey, you got to fix this by yourself. It was about what all of this is. And I was like, what? I wake up in the morning pretending to be me, and then I take this thing and I realize that it's all me like that. And now I got to sit with that for 8 hours. I'm good. So I got the point, and but now I'm working with these things from the microdose aspect or even sub microdose aspect where I'm not feeling anything, but I know that there's an effect. And I don't do this stuff all the time either, because I think it's necessary to give your body breaks from things. Like if you've been supplemented with vitamin C every day and it's been like 6 months, like, you know what? I'm going to take a month off. You know what I mean?
Or
Like
a few days or whatever. Yeah. Whatever you feel.
yeah, like, like, because I mean, and there's so many determining factors too. Like, again, and it requires research and understanding. Like, what is this depleting? Because when you eat or ingest or smoke or whatever, something is going to get replaced by something else. That's just the nature of how, compounds and chemistry work. So it's like, cool. So when I take this thing, when I smoke this thing, I know that this is being displaced. I should add this back. And yeah, but I know it's like, I could probably hear a bunch of people going, that's a lot of work. It's like, I mean, yeah, just listen to the government, I guess. They know what's best for you, right? Listen to your doctor. That one doctor that's supposed to know all this. Like, yeah, sure, trust everybody. Or like, just do some of the homework for yourself. Take, step up a little bit into sovereignty and go, there's no way I'm going to do biochemistry. I'm not going to learn biochemistry. Even though you don't even need to go to university anymore. You have the internet now for free, right? But just putting the intention of learning a little bit. It's like, I enjoy alcohol. And maybe I want to make sure that I have a good relationship with it. So maybe I start to do a little more research, like, oh, this is what this is doing. This is what that's doing. Okay. But yeah.
Yeah. I love the Spagyrics because to me, they feel mind altering, but in like the most subtle way.
Yeah.
That's been my experience with them.
Yeah.
And
I want to be here for it. Yeah. I want to be here for it. I don't want to, I might go back to my blast off days. At this point in my development, I highly doubt it because I have not been shown anything new, but I've been given the tools and lenses to swap back and forth as I navigate this reality. I don't want to leave here like I used to. I believe and I trust that I got the tools and I have the people around me, and I'm going to keep meeting the people that we can work together on these things and share ideas. Like, this is the beauty of like us interacting, right? Sparking ideas. And it's like, hey, sidebar, what if we try this? What if I have so much now? My life is like flourishing so much, and it's so vibrant. From, you can say, yeah, because you took a bunch of psychedelics. It's like, I took a bunch of psychedelics, but I also did something with that information.
Yeah.
And now I want to focus on being here,
Yeah. My lesson was I was such an introverted kid because of eczema and acne, and just my self-confidence was so low until I had some journeys. And the most useful message I got out of them is, hey, you need to use your voice and share if you're going to help other people.
Yeah.
And so to me, that was like a priceless lesson, because it kind of launched me into actually helping people, not just staying in my room and being quiet.
Yeah. No, that. I mean, this is why we're even talking, because I had those, and it was always, it's like the opposite of where you're operating from. It's like, oh, hey, so no, you got to go out there and you have to make yourself available. So you don't need a soapbox in the middle of the street, but you need to make yourself available and accessible. And in the meantime, just do these weird little Instagram rants, but people will show up, and you're not here to be quiet. You're not, and I'm saying this to you too, and you already know this, like, you're not here to be quiet, because it's not that we're important to society or the world, but somebody's going to listen. Someone has listened, and you made such a difference. And I've had people communicate that to me. It's like, dude, thank you so much. And I'm like, I close it immediately because I'm like, I can't handle this right now. My introvert self, I can't do this. It's like, and I open it again. And I'm like, that's actually awesome. Even if I can't see it for myself as to what I'm capable of, what I offer, what I do, what I trigger, what I cause. The fact that it just speaking and showing myself can be the equivalent of, someone can have an effect in their life by hearing one of us speak. That in order for me to have that effect, I had to eat a lot of mushrooms in a lot of dark holes, go through a lot of stuff. They could just listen to a podcast or a rant, and it makes all the difference. I'm like, yeah, the universe is a trickster, man. I get it. But yeah, thank you so much for having me, man. Seriously. Yeah, let's do this again if you ever have questions and stuff.
That sounds great. Yeah, that's a great note to end on. Thanks, man. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Stick around as we close out the show. Appreciate
Definitely.
I would imagine that most people listening to this show have not experienced Spagyrics, especially animal Spagyrics. When I took my first Spagyrics, now it must have been 6-7 years ago, I wasn't expecting to feel them as much as I did. Thought it was going to be more subtle. And then once I tried the animal Spagyrics, to me, those were even stronger than the metals. And it's hard to describe. It's kind of something that you have to experience. Most people are drinking alcohol anyway. And if you don't, you could still take these. But if you are, why not do it right? Like if I'm going to have one shot of tequila, I'll have a Z-biotic shot, which is a transient altered bacteria that helps break down the acetaldehyde that causes a lot of the negative effects of drinking alcohol. And then I'll add several drops, usually from an animal spagyric. So that way I'm getting much more of a benefit. Yeah, small amount of alcohol is helping with lipofuscin accumulation to decrease that. But I see the larger volume of, say, one tequila shot being a delivery system for the spagyric. So if you're interested in trying his products, I'm not affiliated. I just thought it would be a fun show. A lot of people have not heard about Spagyrics, and he has the best company that I've found that produces them. So it's materiaartium.com. I'll put the link below, and experiment with it. Add it to your alcohol and see if you feel a difference. And like he was saying, be consistent with it. Don't just do it once and stop. My website is matt-blackburn.com. I've been slowly adding to my CLF protocol on there. So I fixed a lot of grammatical errors, spelling errors, and added a few more pictures. And I'll be slowly revamping not only that page, but my whole website over the next few months. If you click on the shop page, you can see all of my recommended products. The highlighted ones are on the front page, but the whole list is under the shop tab. And these are all products that I've used over the years, most of which have discount codes. A lot of them I've had podcast interviews about. And you could see that bacteria shot that I mentioned under pre-alcohol prebiotic. I buy those in bulk. I got my dad on them because he enjoys alcohol every day, and they make a huge difference. I've gave them to my friends, and they come back to me and say, wow, Matt, you're right. Those really work. I feel so much better the next day. And that's not the only thing I would do to mitigate. Some people have their own protocol where it's glutathione that they take before drinking or N-acetylcysteine. I keep it simple and I just take the basic stuff, magnesium, vitamin C, all the stuff that I'm taking anyway every day. And I feel like alcohol doesn't have as much of a negative effect because I'm constantly supplementing all of the good stuff. My brand is Mitolife. You can find that at mitolife.co. One of our most popular products is PUFA Protect. That was one of the first Mitolife products that I came out with back in 2020, and I've upgraded it over time. At first, it was only D-alpha tocopherol, which is the most important isomer by far in the clinical literature. But even better than that is when there's alpha and gamma together, which are two of the four tocopherols in, quote, mixed tocopherol vitamin E. The other ones are delta and beta. But the two most important are gamma and alpha. And there's a lot of misinformation and marketing out there about tocotrienols. Those have definitely been trending. But vitamin C generally does the same thing that tocotrienols do. I personally don't supplement tocotrienols right now. I don't see any reason to, but I do take mixed tocopherols every single day, and I've been doing that for years in the PUFA Protect product, and sometimes multiple times a day. It's been super hot and sunny, high UV index here in North Idaho, and I tend to burn easily. So when I up my ingestion of vitamin E, taking it 2 to 3 times a day instead of just once a day, basically upping my intake in the summer with more sun exposure, I definitely notice that I'm more resilient to the sun and less likely to get a sunburn. Vitamin C is another one that acts as a type of internal sunscreen. I actually just posted about heat acclimation and studies that were done on miners underground. And when they supplemented them with vitamin C, the researchers found that the miners reached, quote, optimum acclimatization in a significantly shorter time than the placebo that wasn't supplementing with vitamin C. Another thing that helps is just eating more plants, more fruits and vegetables. I definitely eat way more in the summer, and I feel like that also helps with all of the beneficial plant compounds in there with protecting from oxidative stress from excessive ultraviolet light. That is a wrap for today. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Matt Blackburn, and you can find Mitolife on there just under the name Mitolife. And that's a great resource for education. I put a lot of time and energy into giving out tons of free information about the Mitolife supplements and how to use them in so many different ways. I will see you guys on next Friday's show. Stay supercharged.